Something about you is different. Some kind of energy's messing with all the chemicals in my brain. Feel the temperature rising. That look in your eyes paralyzing. Forever you're never leaving my veins. Heart is racing here now. Never wanna way out. I want you right up to the end. Oh, you know what I'm feeling, even if it doesn't make sense. You don't have to guess. No, you're a mind reader. I know.
Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome to our part 1 of our season finale of A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo!
Welcome back. So, we have a returning exciting guest for us. My padre, father, dad is here today.
Hello. I'm here.
Hi, Rodney. That's so weird. Yeah, so we're here for our dude's perspective of the whole book, which Dad was really ramping up for this. Dad, you got really excited about this one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Would you rate this better than the first one?
Yeah, I would, because there's a lot going on, so, yeah, sure.
Sure. So, just to start off, you have read the book and you've listened to the graphic audio. What was your overall reaction to the book?
Well, good question. I was excited about it. I mean, I've read it twice, so, most of it twice.
Because
so
he was
I stopped and then I come back. So.
He was following along with us for like a while, because he was actually ahead of our episodes. So he was following along with it, but then he kept listening to the episodes and not reading on. So then at some point he stopped listening to the episodes and then had to redo it, because I told him, and we kind of said this pre-recording, but there's something about these books that there's a level of momentum that, especially if you're reading one of these for the first time, there's a level of, I cannot stop, let's say chapter 50, and then come back after like weeks on end of not reading. I need to like redo it and re-listen to it or reread it again. I just can't mentally, and I knew like Dad was gonna have because I know him, so I knew he was gonna have a hard time. So I was like, why don't you just reread it? Because you know a lot, because I think he got up to Starfall, and then he reread it. And so, but you actually had moments where you were like, oh yeah, I saw what you guys were talking about. Or, oh, I didn't see this thing.
Yeah.
Well, in the first part of that, I didn't, when I first read it, I didn't think Tamlin was that bad. But then going back to it, reading it again, I'm like, wow, he was a dick, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta step back and see that.
I seen that side. But yeah, if I rated it, I'd probably rate it a 9 out of 10, probably.
Dad never gives anything 10, so.
But I mean, there was a lot going on, and then going back, rereading it, I did find out other stuff.
You picked up on more.
That's why I always love a good reread. That's why movies, books, whatever, I always do at least 2 or 3 times.
And I think out of all of Sarah J. Maas's books, I could probably say for one, this is probably the most reread book.
Yeah,
I would say.
I could understand that. I mean, I haven't gotten to too many of the others yet, but I could understand that. Akamath, I have reread the most.
Yes, me too. I would say so.
But to continue, I guess, since that's your overall reaction, what would you say what are your favorite moments from the book, or least favorite moments?
Give us, one favorite and one least favorite, because we'll get to moments, but top of the head.
I think when she went off the first time on her power and caught everything on fire.
Oh,
that was
wow. Okay.
That was pretty cool.
That's the top of the head? Well, I mean,
it
was
that or Starfall. One
Aww.
But I mean, that for me, that was when she was finding out.
Or like you think maybe in general, every time she learned a little bit about her powers, you were like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And when you get really pissed, that's when she found some of her powers, or more of her powers, I guess.
Oh my god.
But the least favorite? Oh, I don't know what.
Maybe if it wasn't necessarily like a bad moment.
Probably the start of it.
Again.
And the least favorite.
Again, the start of it was hard.
Mhm.
Okay, I kind of get that, especially when doing it in a reread, though, because Feyre's giving Tamlin so many goddamn chances, and all of us are sitting there like, oh my god, stop!
Yeah.
I think I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think I can understand that. My goodness. So yeah, let's work through this. We're gonna work through it. I know there's so much to this episode, so we're gonna try to like keep on track, guys. Because listen to our more in-depthful conversation if you want to know more about what we think. But
Yeah.
So the beginning. Let's talk about good segue. Let's talk about the beginning.
Yep.
Because we go from this one was a little bit different. It had like a prologue, and so this prologue was like a sense of feeling what she felt under the mountain or from under the mountain. What did you think of this transition from the last book? Because there was some time in between, but it was like setting up the world again, I think. And we said this before, like it set up the world in a different way where like now we're talking about the politics. Now we're talking about like the courtship, revelry shit that doesn't happen when, we're in turmoil.
Well, I don't think she was over the mountain anyway. I mean, she's still, her mind or head was messed up from that. And then her having to deal with the other stuff, I don't think she even wanted to be there, And then Reese getting her for, a week or so, or every so often.
But
whatever.
That didn't, because for 3 months in between, he didn't.
Right. But during that time, she was trying to get her head straight, because it was messed up. You just died and you came back.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I think we talked about this a lot where SJM is really good at. I love a character that has some sort of, I think even we talked about this with Melody Muse, is that the character having a little bit of flaw. Because I've read so many fantasies where you have this really traumatic battle and then they don't feel anything about it. There's no level of, or you don't at least see it in the writing. This whole book is Feyre moving past it, and especially at the beginning is kind of in the nitty gritty where it's like the worst.
Right.
Yeah. So what did you think about this idea that it wasn't just a let's get over it? She was actually kind of, the trauma of it was actually written down in a really powerful way.
Yeah, I'd say it was.
So, because again, we have so much happen at the beginning there where, it comes to meeting new people and like, what did you think of the new atmosphere? This, Ianthe, for one, we know our thoughts on her, but...
I didn't really care for her. I'd say that from the start, but, and then some of the shit she done, after that, but...
Your red flag was when she had red roses at the wedding.
Well, yeah.
That's a pretty obvious red flag. Literally red.
Well, yeah, because she, that's what she didn't want anything red.
That was like the one thing that Feyre had any input on.
And then she did... She did.
Mm-hmm.
She did it anyway.
I knew that she would.
But I think even that was like so well done on Sarah's end.
Well, and then Tamlin trying to figure out how to get around Reese's time taking her.
But the thing was that that didn't even start until he showed back up at the wedding. Before, he was like literally just going on which we find out later was kind of a red flag, that he was going to the Western Front all the time. Because why was he going over there? Obviously Hybern. That was the side it was on. But Rhysand didn't show back up again until later than that. So like he was fucking up even before he showed up. So that, like, what did you think of the wedding scene? Of him showing up very gallantly, Feyre darling, after she begged anybody to save her.
Right. Well, that was his mind, or him reading her mind, or whatever, or that bond they had together.
Well,
because he heard her.
Okay. I think that's see, this is how sometimes it can be kind of a game of chess explaining this to people. Now that you know everything, now that we've all read this second book, it's easier to explain. But especially at first, like, they think it's the bargain bond, but it's actually the mating bond. It's just that's what he uses as shorthand because that's the only thing he wants to tell her.
Right.
But she was shouting down the mating bond at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, though she didn't know it. I thought it was badass. I thought it was like one of my favorite moments, because I think even myself, even reading it the first time, kind of having the same reaction we all had of giving Tamlin too many more chances. I was like, wait, where is Rhysand?
Bring that guy back. We want him.
Yeah, especially Anthony. Of course, bring him back, please. Like,
well, I think also Lucian too wanted to, train her and find out what she knew or what she had, and Tamlin didn't want to, allow that.
Lucian is a complex character because because I agree there was like so many instances where like he definitely didn't stand up for Feyre, but also I do understand his mindset of like what would it have done? Because honestly, it wouldn't have done anything.
No, it wouldn't have.
Talking to Tamlin at least.
But he didn't want him to be mad at him. I don't think,
Like, this is what because remember Liesl, there was something that I think that she said later at the cabin, where she said, if Cassian would have gotten me out of there, she said something like that. And it's like, that was what Lucian's mistake was. He thought that placating and talking to Tamlin would do the trick. No, he needed to get her the fuck out of there. He needed to take her and leave.
Yeah, sorry, I just remembered what it was about Cassian. Definitely, if Rhys were treating her like that, Cassian definitely would have gotten her out.
Yeah, because like Lucian's mistake wasn't even the fact that he was trying, but if you know that doesn't work and you know somebody's in an abusive relationship, why would you just be like, oh no, but you gotta unfortunately stay in the cage? Oh well.
Oh no, your master says no.
It's like that, because especially, okay, I mean, I'm getting too ahead of myself, but I wanted to know what your thoughts on the wedding scene were, because then that like transitions into this back and forth between the Night Court and Spring.
So going into that, we have our first visit to the Night Court, after Rhys saves the day, or in Feyre's mind, ruins the wedding.
Yeah.
So what do you think about just overall the general first visit and then meeting Morrigan? Meeting Ms. Moore.
Yeah, I think she finds out with her that she's going to be an ally with her or help in any
Moore?
way. Yeah. She kind of bonds with her, I think.
I think what was so funny about that first meeting, though, was because she's like, she had the biggest smile on her face, and she's like, you hate us, don't you?
It's a pleasure to meet you. No, it's not.
She was very bare bones. No, you don't like us at all.
Feyre wasn't very happy being there at that time, but,
Well, yeah, because we have the whole shoe throwing and subsequent, him talking to her, and then, he talks to her about, like, the war and all these instances where he tries to talk to her about stuff, but she's not ready to hear it, and she's not ready to, like, because she's been gaslit into thinking that nothing's wrong. Right. It's like, things are back to normal, da-da-da. It's like, no, they're not.
Yeah. Very much not. I am curious. I know this is a small point, but since it stuck out to me, like, what did you think of just that whole moment of Feyre throwing the shoe at Rhys and Rhys being surprised by it?
She was able to hit him.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny myself, but I mean, her getting mad, but they kind of do that through this whole book anyway.
Yeah, true.
The proverbial shoe throwing is like a constant thing. Yeah. It's just in a different way every time.
Right.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Or, them bantering back and forth or bickering or whatever through the whole thing. And it's kind of, I think once they do that every time, they're getting closer and closer and closer together.
They're bonding over it. Yeah. Thus was the beginning of their friendship.
Yeah.
I think that also shows a difference, though, in Tamlin and hers relationship versus Rhys and hers, right? Because there wasn't ever, like, a sense of bickering with them. It was always, like, in the first book, it was very either hostile or misunderstand. Like, it was rooted in misunderstanding.
Well, Tamlin was, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, you're going to do it my way, and no other way.
Yeah.
But speaking of Tamlin, going back, she finally goes back to the Spring Court, glad to be done with Rhys for that week. And then we have the tithe. What did you think about tithe?
No, I think she didn't really want to be there for that. I mean, but it was funny that she did give her jewelry to the...
Well, yeah, reminding everybody about the tithe. That was the thing that Tamlin said that every court had to have, which we found out was a fucking lie, was that everybody had to, it's like their form of taxes, right? So they had to bring them something, almost like a barter.
Right.
Yeah.
And the water wraith. Yeah. So you liked that she gave the jewels to her? The water wraith, I guess?
Yeah. I thought that was, kind of a slap in the face to him.
Well, especially because she got up in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And in front of everyone walked out and did that.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't want to be there to begin with, but like I said,
I think it was on this reread that Liesl caught it. On this reread as we were doing the episodes, is that we find out that she was sitting on a lawn chair. Compared to like his big ass throne, she was sitting on one of those wimpy ass chairs, that fold up chair.
While he had like a giant ornate carved wooden throne. Wow. He had a crown, like a circlet of gold, and she just was sitting there without it. Just off to the side.
Didn't have anything.
With Lucian in front of her to protect her.
That's a good way to put it, though. Like, she's always off to the side. Never, like, in the same purview.
Very, very much. Kind of in the same line, though, of things are iffy here. What did you think about them in the study, specifically the blow-up?
Oh, her and Tamlin?
The argument.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. He got all pissed off, and the walls and the whole house started shaking, right? Or
Well, I mean, yeah, he fucking blew up his own study.
yeah,
Shattered everything.
yeah. On my reread, I'm like, yeah, this guy's got some problems.
Only on the second reread did you find something wrong with
Well,
that.
I didn't feel that at first. I mean, and then I'm reading. I'm like, second time, I'm like, yeah.
Because you felt bad for him. You felt bad, like there was a sense of, oh, this poor guy can't control his powers. It's like, no, he can't. That's some major bullshit.
Yeah. It was
abusive relationship, basically. I mean, he wasn't hitting her or anything, but he was,
But like indirectly, he could have hurt her. Yeah, it wasn't purposeful, but he could have hurt her. And so, we're seeing her magic kind of for the first time here.
Right, right.
Because if she didn't have that, she would have been blown up on the wall, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No matter how fey she is.
Right.
I definitely thought the first time I read it, and I think I mentioned it before, that the wind barrier was his.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because Feyre was like, well, he shielded me at least, so it's okay. It's like, nah, fam.
Me. I think that was like a level of, I think that was and I think we said this during our episode, but I think what I told Liesl, it was something that also, my manager at work said this, and it's like, it kind of stuck with me. It's like that kind of relationship where they keep doing shit and they keep saying sorry, or they keep giving you an ice pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
In an abusive relationship, it's like, oh babe, sorry, I gave you the ice pack. So there's a level of gratitude to it because he gave her something afterward. Like, so in that specific instance, he went up and like fucked her, I guess. I think that's what they did. Yeah, I think he like worshipped her in the bedroom for like hours, and that was his ice pack of sorts.
It's like, so I punched you. Here's an ice pack. Let's forget all this.
Like, yeah, that was his whole thing. Like clockwork in those first few chapters was, I did something, whether or not it was hitting and or verbal, emotional, or actually physical. But then there was also a level of, oh, I'm sorry. But there was no changing, or if there was a change, it only happened for like a few minutes, a few moments, and then it was like back to square one.
Yeah, because if you think about it, this was kind of the first time where she was trying to stand up for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, and then we have yet another blow up. You said this was one of your top scenes, being locked in the house. Or sorry, I think I misheard that maybe.
It was the fire. That was like when she blew up later, but I guess, I mean, this is still a good moment.
My brain confused that. Basically, question is, what did you think of her blow up when she got locked in the house?
Oh, I think
and the save.
Yeah, she was pissed because she locked her in the house. I mean, with all that other stuff going on, and then he wouldn't let her go with him. So yeah, she got pissed. So.
I think I understood. Okay, it was kind of dumb for her to like just go to where, like, why would she want to go? I get why she wanted to. There was a level of why this time to do it.
It was the symbolism behind it.
Yeah, like I think I understand like the circumstance, but it was the fact that like he didn't trust her enough to stay behind, so he locked the entire place down, and that was a power over her that was just too much. And then she had like a fucking panic attack.
Well, yeah, because she was under the mountain.
Or you're saying that it felt like it was caged again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then just real quick, like, what do you think about the fact that she was saved specifically by the Night Court?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that she got in through that,
Mm-hmm.
They did everything by the book, bro. They did everything by the book.
To do certain things, and
barely by the book.
Rhys had to blow up the wards from Summer, and then Moore had to go in to get her, and then they winnowed to Summer, and then Rhys winnowed them back to the court. It was like a 5-step process, but it was worth it.
But they got her, yeah.
I actually think that was one of my favorite parts, because you already were past that point in the graphic audio. I think that was one of my favorite moments, especially also hearing Alice. That was powerful as shit.
Yeah.
Because there was a level of, please help her.
Yeah.
That Alice said. And again, some people get mad at Alice for that whole beginning, and I really don't get it, because it's like, okay, she's just a puny fae that, didn't even have Lucian's credentials. What would she have done?
But also, she saw what was happening.
Right.
She at least acknowledged it. I think Lucian kept gaslighting her.
Well, I think he knew what was happening. But he tried to get Tamlin to little by little see what work with.
Well, because also you brought this up. I don't want to move past this too quickly, but her powers were like eating her alive. That's literally what that last scene symbolizes. Is like when you have all this power and then you don't do anything with it, it'll literally kill you.
Well, and I think Lucian knew that as well.
But did he even train her in secret? No. He could have tried to do something.
Well, he's just a yes man to Tamlin, so he didn't want to create waves.
I know.
So that's why.
So yeah, we finally get to the part in the book where we're finally fully in the Night Court now. We're not going to and from back to Spring, even though that was kind of interesting. I will say, having that back and forth forth from spring to night was actually interesting to read
Mhm.
because it was like, here's where you're happy and good, and then you got to depressing, and now we're finally back to all happy.
Or
Well,
getting there.
The other thing
Yeah.
too, where he in his mind, he was reading her mind or thoughts, and where she was throwing up all the time, and
But he also threw up too.
right.
I feel like that's also part of the mating bond, though.
But
like-
he was seeing that as well. I
Well,
don't think
yeah.
she realized that either.
Well, she did when he told her.
Yeah.
And then they started building. I think he did that really smart, though, you'd think, right, Liesl?
Mm-hmm.
I think he did because she didn't want to get taught how to do magic, but he taught her in a way that's like, okay, if you want to shut me out, you don't like me, right? If you want to shut me out, you have to do this. It was
Probably killed him to do it, but
yeah, it was a very smart way of doing it, but also him teaching her how to read was hilarious.
Yeah.
Reese is the most handsome High Lord.
Yeah. But she got that down pretty good and quick.
Yeah, she learned, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
She
Well,
definitely
and
learned that Reese is the most handsome High Lord.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also, too, he wasn't going to put her in a house, whether it be the Night Court or Valeris or wherever. He's going to let her do what she wanted to do.
Sarah even did it so well in talking about the Moonstone Palace that Dad will bring up constantly. Is like, what? How many motherfucking houses of this guy?
Yeah, it's like,
Like, you can be in any house you want.
Yeah, Dad kept saying that every time. He just like,
yeah, when she got pissed and Nora took her out.
to the cabin. Dad
Yeah,
was like,
it's like-
what?
Well, how many damn houses these people got?
Well, but I think just going back to that Moonstone Palace thing, like even like Sarah did a good job in describing the place. It was so different. It was in the middle of nowhere mountains. There was no guards. There was no servants except for Noelle and Caradwan, and they kept to themselves mostly. It was just also so vastly different from Spring, like in the way it was described too. Not just him, but the atmosphere.
Yeah, but you always had, well, there's clothes in there and
My God.
food in there. It's like, okay, you've always been in this damn house for how long? And you got all kind of shit in there. You know,
It's
you're
magic,
good.
Daddy. I literally described this to you before.
You're all good.
It's magic.
I know.
My goodness. But yeah, so we're finally in the Night Court. We're in this level of, let's go over these houses, shall we? We got the townhouse, which is main base. That's where Rhysand and Feyre stay most of the time. Or, well, that's where they're staying. There's the House of Wind, where it has, you can either fly up there because you can't winnow, or you can winnow to a certain point, but then you have to fly in. Or take the 10,000 steps.
Yeah, you could winnow above it and then plummet down onto a balcony. That sounds like a good idea.
True.
I wonder if there was anybody that ever walked all that way up there forever.
I for one would not. I'm
Yeah.
scared of like sudden drops and stuff that probably would come with flying, but I just could not do 10,000 steps.
Yeah, would you rather take the 10,000 steps or fly up there?
Oh, that's long.
I don't think anybody would choose to take the 10,000 steps. Unless you were, like, afraid of heights, maybe. But, like, I don't...
Maybe, but even then, like, you're gonna be afraid of stairs.
That's a common person now.
The common person.
That's true.
Honestly, yeah. But, like, I feel like if anybody had the balls or willpower of the commoners to get up there, I feel like Rhys would just let them
They deserve to be up there if they have the guts to take those.
get up there. So they have the House of Wind, where I'm assuming the boys stay, the bad boys, because, like, they never say where they go, but I'm assuming that that's where they are at. And then, of course, we have Amren's house. Amren's little apartment. And then, of course, the Moonstone Palace. But those are, like, the main houses. So, so we get to this. What did you think of the difference between just even how Valeris was described versus Spring? Because, again, we had this mentality going into this book that Rhysand was, like, a brutal guy. And here we have this very beautiful city. Not just a town, a city.
Yeah.
Like a metropolis level. What did you think of Valeris in general?
Yeah. That was his city. And
What did you think of the, like, actual moment, though, when she gets there and realizes she can hear laughter?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally different than the Spring Court or whatever.
Or what she was expecting. She was
Right.
expecting, like, hellfire and brimstone.
Right.
Or at least, like, ruins.
Yeah. Because, again, she didn't know at that point that Valeris had been protected for 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, why didn't this place get ransacked?
Right. Because nobody knew about it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It made Rhys's character so much more, like, I mean, Liesl already liked him from the first book. I, for one, can say that I didn't like until after the third trial, I think, until I started to like him. So that was just also another testament to his character about how he did all that to protect his people
Well,
in this one city.
That showed he was a good guy. And the city was, nobody was paying taxes or to him money or
yeah.
whatever.
I think that was like another one of the nails in the coffin for me for Luke Tamlin, because it's like he made everything seem like it was something that needed to happen when like it didn't. You're the ruler of your territory. You make the fucking rules. Why is he insistent on doing something that's like ancient?
Because his father told him that's how it's done.
Yeah, which is so hypocritical. He's like, well, I hated my father. It's like, why are you doing everything that he said that you should do?
Because father said so.
Well, then you get to Reese's City and everything is just like, well, to her, even better than normal what she had.
Oh, yeah.
And she was,
Also, in the reverse of that, spit on his dad's grave, basically.
Yeah, true.
And I think that was something that I think she could get used to being in that city later on. Protect.
Yeah, I know. It sets it up in a good transition way, so by the end, I think it makes more sense why she's so... Because it just didn't happen all at once. This sense of feeling like protecting it, and because I feel like in a lot of novels, there's a sense of, oh, well, I'm protecting this because I'm married to the guy that's protecting it. No, she fell in love with the city by her own self.
Right.
And decided she wanted to do that.
But at the time, she didn't know that she could protect her if she could do anything.
I know.
She didn't know that.
And actually, that's like a good point that Liesl kept bringing up beforehand about, is that even if, us knowing what ends up happening, like obviously this was never going to happen, but like he even said the ultimatum, he said, you don't have to work with me. You could live out the rest of your days here and you don't have to help.
Like it'd be nice to have help, but you don't have to.
I just said, sure, that's fine with me.
And just knowing Feyre, like she would want to stick her nose into it. He knew her inherently, so he knew that that wasn't going to happen like that anyway.
He knew that she was a help.
Right.
Liesl always likes to say it was the choice that I could have that other life. Not that he knows that I would want it.
Right.
Yeah, so she has choice in houses, she has choices of jobs, choices to take a job or not.
Right. Well, then she wasn't tied down to anything. You got to stay here, you got to do this, or you got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she didn't have to do anything.
All through the book, he gave her the option of, okay, you can do this or you can do that.
Well, and especially up till, of course, unfortunately, the attack. She could go out in the streets of Alaris unattended.
Right.
Like, it was that protected that even nobody would, and nobody was going to attack her.
Yeah, she couldn't even have done that in her own part of the town.
Oh, like in her village?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just, SJM did like a really good job of setting up not only like, I think this was, I wouldn't say that any book is perfect, but I would say this book is as close to perfect as probably can be. It had story setup, it had location, it had character growth in a very stagnant way. It was a very not all at once.
Easy climb.
Yeah, an easy ascent. Even the whole Tamlin thing made sense. That wasn't even, if anything, that was a slow decline. I like how it wasn't just, oh, he beat me up one day. And of course that made me understand.
Right, no, it was definitely over time, which is how it happens, like we said about the first book. It's extremely realistic.
Very much so.
Well, and I wonder if that was some of the way he seen his dad when he was growing up as well.
Oh, like with his mom?
Yeah.
God.
Well, I don't know.
I don't doubt it.
Nobody said anything about that, but...
Yeah, I mean, they never said that their relationship was great.
Right. Maybe that's how he thought it was supposed to be. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that's what I'm saying, though. The hypocrisy of him saying that I saw, like, or he says that he saw what his dad did and that he didn't want to be like that, but then ends up being like him anyway. Literally doing everything the same, but...
Tamlin needed some therapy.
Still needs it.
True.
Just later on, you kind of figure out the dick moves he was doing. So.
Yeah, the fuckery that was going on behind the scenes. But so I know Liesl will talk about the inner circle a little bit later as we're like getting to know them. But like, what did you think initially? So like initially meeting them and then this level of the dinner scene. I think that was one of our favorite scenes.
That was probably one of. Yeah, I could add that to that. Yeah, when they were standing out knocking at the door, and yeah. That's how your buddies would do, yeah.
Initially, yeah.
And she's like, they're talking to you that way? Oh, yeah. So that was pretty cool. Cass and Az being out there, yeah.
That was an immediate also throw into the world, too. Like what Liesl said about the not hearing any laughter, hearing laughter. And then immediately after that, it's just like, come on, you stupid brick, let us in for breakfast. It's like, wait.
Yeah. Then she meets the inner circle, yeah.
Yeah, because you met Moore, because Moore's actually his direct cousin. So, yeah, just go through each each of them, what did you think of? Like, in the initial meeting and the, like, dinner with Cassian, Azriel, and Amryn. Go through each one of them.
Well, I thought Cass was pretty cool, as was too, but yeah.
Cassian is a guy that you would have a beer with.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, that would be your buddy. Yeah. Amryn, I don't know how she took her right at first, but...
You gotta throw your theories into the pot, because I don't remember what Liesl's guesses were about who she was, or what she is, but...
Oh, we're drinking just blood? I thought she was... I don't know. I still don't know what the hell she is. A vampire or what? I don't know.
So obviously what we know about her is that, from up until this end, what we know about her is that she came from another world. She went through a rift 15,000 years, so she's 15,000 years old. She was in the prison for like 10,000 years, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she got out, yeah.
And then she got out, but you don't know how she got out. And then her essence, or whatever the hell she is like trapped in a fae body. So she is made very differently than like the sisters are, but like she's made in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So you think she's a vampire? That's it?
That would be my first guess. It's probably not. Right?
You don't really know many fantasy creatures, so I'm glad you're even getting
that would be my guess anyway. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, our thought was, or my thought was about like sucking out souls.
A soul eater
Yeah.
or something like that.
Some kind of vampirism.
Because she said that her eyes, because her eyes glow silver. It's like the soul she's eaten.
Silver and stormy.
I mean, there's not very many lore creatures that I could guess.
Yeah, because they're always taking blood to her or whatever.
But it's always goat's blood. It's
Goat
never
blood.
human's blood.
Yeah, so vampires would be, that was more human blood, because that was, the sweetest?
Yeah, but like, we're also living in this sort of world where fae are dominant, so I think some people thought she was just a witch, like a which, I mean, fair, but I feel like
she's got the temper of a witch.
True. Because even though she's probably like, if I was gonna say anybody was like the black sheep of their group, it's her, because like, I don't think, because black sheep is like somebody who's like outcasted. I think that they're all family, but there's a level of her, she's kind of just out there.
She'd like to be more by herself at any given time.
She's an introvert.
than anybody else, when you see later on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, she was out there and wanted to be by herself.
So at the end of that dinner, the impromptu interview that no one knew was actually happening except Reese and Feyre.
The interview.
We finally start exploring a little bit. So we go over to the prison. So what did you think of the prison, and specifically the reason that they were there, the creature they were there to meet?
Oh, yeah.
You remember his name? Daddy, you just read it.
Yeah, because he showed up different to her other than to him. He showed up as a boy to her.
The bone carver we got.
Oh.
What did you think of the bone carver?
He was interesting, to say the least. Yeah. And what was kind of funny that she seen him as a boy, 9 or 10, something like that. And Reese seen him as...
Jurian.
Yeah. So that was different.
Well, because that makes me think he's like some sort of shapeshifter, but...
He knows what you're thinking in your head or something.
In your mind. He was in your mind.
It's almost like he has like seer powers. Not seer powers. Like, he's like one of those creatures that knows the past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like the Surreal, but like not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't... sort of,
Yeah,
but
kind of.
I think what's important to note about the prison is that like it's technically its own court. Like, or like at least they describe it like that. Is that he says like it's on its own island, it has its own rules, its own regulations, but it's technically under the Night Court's purview.
Right. They had to get in there a certain way too. They could fly for a little bit and then they had to walk or something.
Yeah, they can't,
They couldn't winnow in or whatever.
Yeah, because the damper on the magic.
Yeah.
I think the creepiest thing about the prison is that whenever they go up there, it was like, okay, shh, don't talk about Amryn in here. And or don't talk like about anything getting close to it because they can hear them.
And they will sell out information for any desire that they have.
That was why I was like, wait, they can hear all the way out here? I think the bone carver can hear anywhere, honestly.
Imagine the bone carver just like sitting in his cell, just listening to them get closer of like, ooh, are they visiting me?
Well, because he was at like, he's kind of like a Hannibal Lecter, like he was at the bottom of prison. He was like the lowest place that they could go.
Right.
Because I think, what did you think about how he appeared to her? An 8-year-old boy with violet eyes.
Yeah, I didn't get that, so I don't know.
Just the fact that we haven't seen any character, like we've heard of Jurian, but we haven't like heard of any like children really.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Like, my wholehearted theory is that, like, because again, it's not like really confirmed who he was. Like, it's kind of up in the air, I feel like. There's two answers that people are giving. I thought it was Rhysand. I thought it was Rhysand young. Like, she's seeing him as a young Rhysand. Because who's the only character that we know with violet eyes that's dark-haired? Yeah, he's not young, but was that showing that he knows the past? That he has seen the past? And then, him showing himself to Jurian was him showing Rhysand that I fucking knew why you were gonna be here. I know the future.
I just thought he was showing himself to her as a younger kid, so not to scare, or whatever. I mean, not be creepy.
It could have, but he could have just appeared as anybody. Like, he could have appeared as any boy. Why did he appear with violet eyes?
He could have showed up as him.
Well, she wouldn't know what he looked like.
Well,
she wouldn't have known what he looked like. But yeah, I think that was a big moment because again, it was like the first time we were meeting another creature.
Yeah. Well, and it's too at the purpose. End. I think Rhys is wanting to get out of there, and she's talking more and more and more.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Telling her about how she wanted to kill herself.
Yeah.
He's trying to find out what she thought or what she was seeing when she was dead.
Yeah, tell her thoughts about that because you told me some stuff. Tell Lisa what you thought about. Why he was so engrossed with that death.
All about him being dead or dying or
why did he care about that? Why was that something he wanted that he would sell out information?
Dying himself. Thought it'd be easier for him, maybe. I don't know.
I mean that's what you said. You said he wanted to die.
And wanted to know what was on the other side.
Yeah.
Good there, I basically thought the same thing too, of like he's clearly fascinated with death. I mean, why else would he cart all of the deaths onto Bones and his cell?
Yeah.
Right.
So that makes sense. But they finally make it out of the prison. Thank goodness for that. Scary. And then almost immediately they have to go deal with another ancient creature. So what did you think of the Weaver?
That was pretty funny too. Yeah. When he put the ring, had the ring in there, that's what you want to find, right? Whatever you seek, yeah. And then she was blind, yeah.
Because remember, this is the transition, and now, because the Bone Carver told us about the Book of Breathings, right? So Rhys is trying to test her out to see if her powers are going to work on a magical object.
If she could find it.
Tied to a High Lord.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Girl, that's so... I cannot get over how sweet that is. Especially knowing that it's the goddamn wedding ring. It's just like...
Well, you find out, yeah, later on that's the one that she was seeking after, yeah. But then her freaking out and catching the place on fire or doing whatever. Yeah. And he's like, when he gets back to her, he goes, "What in the hell did you do?"
It's like, wait, what did I do? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Fucking tried to save myself. What do you fucking think I did? It was definitely like a Hansel and Gretel moment of the door's wide open when they get there.
Yeah.
And it's like, entice you to come in. There's so many riches. Why don't you just step in? Because I'm just an old lady sitting at the, whatever that is.
The loom.
At the loom, yeah.
Or I guess it was a spinning wheel because it was spinning day.
Yeah. So it's like, though I will say another point in graphic audio's favor, that whole scene was badass.
Yeah.
Of just hearing her singing while she's creaking through.
Yeah. And then the roof was made of
Yeah.
His hair and fat and skin and shit.
Yeah.
Human grease.
She's freaking out about that.
A normal person would. Right? You can't tell me that you'd be up on that roof with just a bunch of hair and fat on you and be okay.
Be doing what she did after and taking a shower.
She took multiple.
Yeah.
Well, they can't shower. It's bathed.
Yeah.
That sucks, by the way.
Yeah.
You can't get a clean shower. You gotta scrub that shit off.
Yeah. And then sit in it because you're bathing.
Yeah, you're sitting. Yeah, you're sitting in your old dirt and grime. And,
It's how old is that?
Fast when we were young.
No, I'm talking about how old was all that hair up on the roof?
Probably some was new and some was old because you need a lot of hair and fur to fill a thatched roof.
100%. Yeah.
That's why she was leaving the door open so that everybody come in.
I think what was also cool about the Weaver, not only was it another Asian creature, but it was the fact that it set up the middle in a different way. Because that middle part of Prythian, we only were seen under the mountain. Before we only went under there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got the lore, which is love the fucking lore of this book. I think it set up Prythian in a different way because Rhysand was saying that she was the ruler of this part. There's not a high lord that rules under the mountain, but if anything, it's what is it? A survival of the fittest. Whoever's at the top of the food chain is gonna rule, and she rules it all.
I will say I was actually kind of shocked because we're told that the middle is all of this chaos and dangerous creatures and stuff. To start off that chapter, they were just walking casually through this peaceful woods, jumping off of rocks and just chatting.
And the whole thigh sheath, like the sexual tension of, did you like the sight of me kneeling before you? That's actually a quick question. Did you like the bits of romance? You kind of said it earlier, but did you like the bits of romance that were? It wasn't too heavy.
I just kind of, for me, it was just like bantering back and forth. Like, if you like somebody, you on them a little bit, and that kind of was back and forth the way they were doing.
Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that, and the son Feyre knows it, but the fact that Rhys uses Feyre's anger and playful, horny type stuff to get away from her troubles? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, he did do that. I mean, she didn't throw up anymore that they didn't say about.
Oh, you mean now?
Right, later on, after he, worked with her and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And she settled down more, so yeah, I think it helped her out a lot.
Well, just briefly, but also not briefly, because it's kind of important. What did you think of, once they were back in Valaris, back in the townhouse, and Feyre just really wants to bathe all of that grime away? What do you think of the memory that Rhys showed her? Showing her the memory of Ianthe in the Night Court, in his bed.
Yeah, I caught that the second time coming back through, and I'm like, what the? And she's like thinking, what's going on? Yeah.
Well, because I think that was the first time he showed her a memory. Showed her, because it's a weird thing, right? There's a difference between showing somebody a memory, but the thing was, she heard his thoughts retroactively.
And also the fact that she saw Ianthe naked on the bed in his memory and tried to back out, but couldn't because he closed his wall behind her. And so it's like he's using this as a lesson, but also sharing.
Right.
Fucking exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Also, make any girl in ACOTAR see red when they talk about the Ianthe naked on the bed scene. What the fuck does this bitch think she's on?
She's just like, hi, Lord.
I need to share.
Well, then he breaks her arm, right?
He breaks her hand.
Should have broken more.
I just love how she's just, I could make you happy, and he goes, and then he throws her out
on her ass, and then throws her clothes out on her.
He laughs at her fucking face. I think the gross part was that she was touching herself while she was talking to him, and it's like, oh, bitch, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, and I think I told you about that, and then going back seeing her at Hamlin's place, I think he showed that memory or thing to her, Farrah, and she was thinking back,
Yeah, but Lucian. She was thinking about Lucian, that he probably got freaking molested or assaulted, maybe. I 100% bet, because I don't really think, because it's not it technically, that doesn't say, but it's very heavily implied.
Yeah, because Ianthe at the beginning was just yeah, Lucian's avoiding me. Do you know why? And then Lucian clearly avoiding her as much as possible.
I think that's also another cool bit of setup, isn't it? That again, that I wouldn't have noticed. Now you understand why, that makes so much more sense. But you wouldn't have thought that when you read that the first time. It's yeah, why is Ianthe weird with him? I don't know. It makes so much sense. I do have to show him the vine of that. It is the most well-known vine of this Ianthe and Rhysand thing, where it's the vine where he says, or she says, there's not a lifeguard here at your pool, and he's like, this isn't a pool, this is a bathtub. I need to share that with you later. That is that is the best. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I think that vine, I found out when I looked up later that vine's from the start of a porno.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I was shocked. I was like, what? I feel I should have known from the graphics and the acting. I feel I should have known. But anyway, we can move on. So after this transition and all this, Rhysand and her kind of bickering back and forth creatures, we finally get kind of the meat of the story where they're trying to find the Book of Breathings. This is them trying to get it, right?
Right.
And so what did you think initially when Feyre goes back to the human world and sees her sisters again for the first time?
Well, I thought that was, in the book, that's pretty special to have them go back and see her sisters again,
But as a Faedist.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think of their reactions to that?
That was kind of funny, too, because they didn't know what, and then they're like, okay, we have a Fae in our house. What's people going to think,
It was funny.
What's the neighbors going to think?
I hated Nesta's reaction, bro. I thought she was being a total bitch about that.
I mean, I can see how it would be funny in the sense of they're concerned about their reputation of having a Fae in their house rather than their own safety.
I think what made me mad about it reading it the first time was that they thought she just was dead. They just assumed she was dead, and this is how they're reacting to like, even, yeah, she's Fae now, but, like, shouldn't they be happy that she's at least alive?
Should be.
And not
Yeah, they
worrying
should.
about other bullshit?
Yeah, they should be, but I don't think they were.
They're kind of incapable of that, honestly. But... Whoops. Shots fired.
Whoopsies.
So, like, going off of that, like, what'd you think of, because I think the funniest thing about that was that we brought up, because we didn't see this in our first read, and then when we reread it, it's like, yeah, they show up with no carriage, no nothing, no footsteps.
Yeah, because they just land or something.
They just land, and then they get up there, and she's just hooded. It's like, actually, that's ominous as fuck. I gotta admit.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Not like they showed up in the past,
Yeah, like, because the last
when
time...
they brought her home and stuff like that, yeah, they
she was
showed
in a big
up.
carriage.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the initial, like, dinner with Cassian and Nesta?
That was pretty funny. I like that, yeah.
He gives zero fucks about talking back to her.
Yeah, telling her that they didn't do shit and Farrah did everything. If it wasn't for her, she wouldn't be alive.
Best part about that is Nesta just, like, doesn't even look at him. And that makes him see red.
Yeah.
Makes him see red.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Hilarious.
Someone getting under Cass's skin? Incredible.
Yeah, even Reese said that. He's like, yeah, it's a while since somebody got under Cass's skin, which we were both thinking. I was like, yep, they're gonna be together. They have to. Like, that's fire right there. Those are two type A's going at it.
Yeah, what do you think about their blooming relationship?
Do you think they're, like, gonna be a couple? Or you don't even see that?
Well, the book portrays him as just kind of a womanizer or whatever, Going from one woman to the next and stuff like that. But maybe he's ready to settle down. I don't know.
I don't really think, like, I know what you're saying, but, like, to us, we haven't really ever gotten the fact that, like, Cassian brags about a lot of women. He doesn't.
He's flirty, but he doesn't, like, say he slept with people.
He doesn't brag. It's not like in the normal way where, like, a womanizer would do that, right?
Well, the girls will get on him. Cameron will get on him.
Well, yeah, but they always do that when they talk back to her.
Yeah.
They also mostly just talk about how much he has pride in his own looks rather than other people.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and that they'll cut off his favorite part every time.
Yeah.
Specifically Amryn. Because then, I mean, also, it's not very, like, it's kind of hidden, but then kind of Azriel and Elaine are cozying up to each other. And we're thinking to each other, 3 sisters? 3 bat boys? Like, that seems kind of perfect, doesn't it? Lucian throws a wrench into that, unfortunately, but...
Right, because that's his maid in it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so, going off of that, the other important thing to happen at the, like, sisters' place besides meeting them again, the Adder encounter. What'd you think of the ambush? I was taken aback by it.
Oh, when they were out there training or whatever they were doing, yeah. And then they come to save her. Well, he let happen for a little bit. So.
Because Rhysand is somebody who always plans. He's got a plan. You can even see that in the end. Like, they had a foolproof plan D and E.
Yeah, well, when that whole thing started, well, when we get there.
But that's what I'm saying, is that he knew that it was foolproof, but he didn't tell her about it, though.
Which was the big mistake there.
Well, she got pissed, yeah.
She went out for the first time, was on top of him, and all that. And, which I feel like I think Anthony did this really well in the graphic audio playing him, was that, like, at first he was kind of into it, like, how mad she was getting, and then he was like, she was on top of him, and he was like, yeah, I'm digging this. And then as soon as he figured out that she wasn't kidding, he's like,
like, I'm sorry, take me back, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, babe, make you upset. He's the best boyfriend.
Well, but anyway, Piper was sending them to find him.
Well, yeah, because that's, like, I think that's the start of them knowing where they're at. Like, via the magic, but they didn't know time. Because I thought they were following her, but in actuality, they were following his, because they knew that she'd be with him.
Yeah. I'm curious what you thought about, since we see the Adder once again, lovely, what you thought about the whole torture for information thing that we see from Rhys's memory.
Hot? No. If it's Azriel, it's hot, sure. Sorry, that's your guy, I'm sorry.
I thought that was interesting. I didn't know what,
Well, because you're getting information from it. Oh, we're getting more information about Highburn, but also the fact that they do torture people.
Right.
They're not this perfect thing.
Right. He's finding out more.
But
although the Adder deserves it.
Yeah, like, she said that, Liesl, like, she wasn't actually upset about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were taking an innocent down there and slicing him up and whatever.
Right.
So, in that way, yeah. I think they're perfectly imperfect in that way.
Yeah, they're realistic. So yeah, now we're kind of just waiting for the Mortal Queens, because if we're recalling, the sisters sent out that letter to the Mortal Queens, so they're playing the waiting game. And during this time, Farrah is getting to know the other members of the inner court better. Sorry, inner circle. Why did I say that? Getting to know, I mean, that too.
Sort of, yeah.
Getting to know the inner circle more. So just curious, like, what you thought about, like, I mean, through Feyre, but also through your own thoughts. What were you learning more about each person, and what did you think about each of them?
More about Kat, you know.
Well, I just want to, so let me help direct. Like, I think what I meant by that is I want you to know about, I want to, like, get your information on their backstories. Like, obviously, we talked about Amryn a little bit. Yeah, Amryn's 15,000 years. We don't really know much about her, like, and she's kind of an enigma right now. Where she probably is, like, person we have the least information about past-wise.
Well, and Cass and Az and Rhys all growing up kind of together, and then they separated them.
Yeah, because that feels so long ago, girl.
It does.
So, like, us talking about these. So, they all, like, coalesced. You're right. They all coalesced at the Illyrian camp, at some point. But before that, specifically, Azriel was the one that was, he was tortured by his brothers. Biological, or what, I guess they were half,
and his dad locked him away.
Yeah, and so he couldn't fly. And then he didn't get taught how to fly until late, which put him at a disadvantage. And then his hands got scarred because of burns. Making another ACOTAR reader see red, talking about Azriel's scars. And then, of course, he made it to the Illyrian camp, and now he's a shadow singer. Tell me what you think about that.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
You gotta give us something, then. Anything about his powers? It's cool. He's got a big-ass knife.
Oh, is it Illyrian sword or whatever?
It's a dagger.
I guess I don't remember about when they're talking about the shadow singer part. I don't.
They talk about it all the time throughout most of the book, Daddy.
What about the just fact that he has shadows whispering in his ear constantly?
Yeah, he's like surrounded by them.
Yeah,
because that's why Rhys's dad kept him by his side during the whole war. He's that powerful of a
spy master.
Oh, so that's why they're using. Yeah, they used him as a spy on the queens and stuff like that.
To no avail, though. Like, whatever their palace had was like, you know, which actually later ended up working against them because they were like, see, look, he was trying to spy on you, dumbasses.
Yeah.
Well, for never, Jesus Christ. But I guess, yeah, so there's him. So again, I guess, like, in that case, we don't really know. Azriel hasn't told us much about his backstory.
And it seems to get the vibe, too, that he hasn't told even, like, Cass and Rhys much.
Yeah, it's very true. Very bare bones. But Cass is the one you know more about. So his mom they were all born bastards, right? So that's why they have, like, this, you know, they're bastard-born Illyrian. Because even Rhysand is technically a bastard in his own way. That's because he's a half. Like, what did you think about Cassian, who's very, very forthcoming about his backstory, about how his mom was like a very lowly Illyrian woman because of the Illyrians. They cut
their wings.
Look up their wings.
For specifically just the wings. On their first bleeding.
Which basically is because, they're bleeding. That means they're officially adults now. Let's use them for breeding and make sure they can't fly away.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking exactly. Terrible.
Because they talked about her trying to show him how to fly or whatever, and she'd go out and fly with him.
Well, that's Rhysand. Yeah. That's not Cassian. Yeah. But yeah, so Rhysand's mom was saved by his dad because they were mates. So because remember, like Liesl loves to remind us, is that they publicly do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, it's stupid. Yeah, Rhys's dad saved her wings so she could teach Rhysand how to fly. But going back past is that his mom didn't get, she obviously didn't get the same treatment. She was very, they worked her to death. They literally worked her to death. And do you not remember any of this?
Yeah.
Okay. They literally worked her to death, and then he went back with his brothers and killed the whole village. Was it deserved? Probably. Yeah, revenge. Fair. It's Cassian. I give him a pass on everything, bro.
And Cassian's not usually the type to do revenge.
He's not, it's not very much malice, unless it's someone he really cares about.
Right. He just follows his heart. He's a
Because he worked, because remember, if we remember their backstory, this is why I'm bringing it up, because it's important character development, but like, when they talked about him, you know, not having a tent, bastards don't get a tent, they just have to find a place to sleep.
Or
in the cold. Yeah. In the Illyrian Mountain. He worked so hard to be an Illyrian badass, and then when he finally was able to do it, his mom was already gone. So it's like all that work to get to a point where he could protect his mom for nothing. But now it's not for nothing. He trains other people to defend themselves.
And he's a general.
Yeah.
He has a place to live. He has friends.
Sorry. You're saying important stuff. I'm just...
The emotions.
The air condition isn't on. That's why I'm getting hot and bothered. This is awkward with Dad here. Okay, so let's... So yeah, do you like Cassian the most, would you say? I feel like you vibe with him
my
more.
Favorite.
So it runs in the family.
Rhys would be a close second.
Yeah, we're both on like Rhysand is like second. I mean, they're all at number one. If we had our own hierarchy, mine would be Cass, then Rhys, and then Liesl's would be Az, then
Yes.
Rhysand. But yeah, then of course, I mean, we know probably the most about Rhysand's backstory is that, yeah, he was born Illyrian bastard, but they, you know, his mom, I mean, he kind of got the best treatment in a weird way. His mom was at the camp the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
then of course she took them in.
Which was super sweet, of course, but you know, she's classic mom in the sense of she's just like, you can stay, but you better fucking go bathe.
Yeah, she's just like, okay, da-da-da, do this, do that. And he's like, yes, ma'am.
It's like, if you're gonna live here, first of all, you gotta keep yourself clean, no fighting inside, and you're gonna have to be educated.
Right. Which is, oh god, that just makes me feel that makes me like so viscerally sad.
Yeah.
Because Rhys's mom would have loved Feyre.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. I mean, that's what pulls at the heartstrings, though, right? And I think last is Mor, which Mor has kind of the more ironically worst of them all in terms of her being a woman in this instance.
Sad, though.
So her dad runs the Court of Nightmares. Here, he wanted to sell her off because she was really powerful, more powerful than him.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going to be married to Lucian's oldest brother. She was gonna marry Eris, Lucian's oldest brother.
Good thing she didn't.
And before they could do that, she went up to the Illyrian camp with Rhys because Rhys thought that was a great idea. I feel like in his own way, he kind of knew, he was kind of giving her the out there.
Yeah.
And so what does she do? She sleeps with Cassian. And we think that was both their first. I think they were both each other's first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the Cass. I don't know about.
Dude, docile women have never been Cass's type. I bet you money he didn't sleep with anyone before her. I bet you who probably, you know, like fucking pulled it a lot up in the Illyrian mountains. But I don't think he had sex before because they were young.
Well, define young. My God, they're old now.
500.
Yeah. So
They were like
100.
16, 17.
Yeah, no, they were actually young. So I agree. I mean, you could not agree with that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Again, there's no canon answer.
Like maybe, I don't know, like oral or something. Maybe he had that. But like, I definitely think going all the way was the first time with Mor.
Yeah, which of course in, you know, Mor's realm, that sullied herself.
And to her parents too.
So they literally crucified her on these planks. They nailed her to a post and like sent it to, and then they nailed her stomach and left her in the woods to die in the autumn court. And then Eris left her out there to die. Saw what it was and then was like, nope, not taking her either. And then Azriel. So we don't know like too much about, like, that's very base bones what we get. I mean, that's all we get in this about that. And that we know that Azriel saved her, which is why Azriel seems to have this love for her because he saved her.
Yeah.
What do you think of them? Who do you think Azriel will be with?
I don't know.
You think he'll eventually tell Mor his feelings?
I don't know. I don't know if he will or not.
God damn, it's been like 400 years.
Because Cass, he likes Nesta, and then
He gave up on Mor a long time ago. Cassian, I don't think Cassian has actually liked Mor since forever.
I don't know. I just don't see that.
Honestly, no, we talked about this though, Liesl. I don't think Cassian really gave up on Mor though completely until he met Nesta.
Probably.
And then Mor kind of came like an afterthought.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I'm probably not going back to that. I have this feisty thing in front of me.
Definitely so. So yeah, so I wanted to just talk about that because it's so sporadic. There's not a good way to talk about them because like we learn it over time. So that's why I kind of wanted like halfway into us talking about like try to discuss it because we learn about their backstories over time. So it's hard to be like, okay, so what did you think of this bit of information or this? Like that's too much.
You get pieces through the book that when it comes to time to it.
So yeah, as we move on from learning about them, so now we go to the Summer Court, which is kind of like the halfway point in terms of story. So this was definitely a big moment because we're not only going to a new court. So yeah, what did you think of, I mean, character-wise, what did you think of Tarquin, Cressida, Varian?
I thought Tarquin was cool. And one that he could be an ally with them if they needed him.
If they didn't fuck it up, you mean?
Well, yeah, they kind of messed that up there at the end.
Because Tarquin was young, untested.
Mm-hmm.
All of his thoughts were actually ones that Feyre agreed with. And
that's Rhys, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think Rhysand said, like, he's probably one of the only High Lords beside the ones in the Solar Courts that he liked.
Right.
And that just hurts it. Like, I know they needed to do it, but at the same time, like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I feel like if they still had the best outcome. Because I don't think he would have given it over if they told him everything. And even if he did, people would have already knew about it. But you could make the argument that Hybern already knew they were looking for the book.
Yeah, but they didn't know that. They couldn't risk it.
So, yeah, they didn't know that. Retroactively, no. But so what did you think of Cressida and Varian, though? Prince and Princess of Adriata. The one that he was schmoozing with, and then Varian and Amren seemed to
Yeah.
cross paths.
Well, again, they had history, right? Or something, or no?
That's the first time they met.
Bavarian was totally just on to Amren.
He gave her the family jewels. After, like,
Yeah.
later,
Mhm.
after blood rubies or something, he gave her a fucking necklace.
A
from his
family heirloom.
tale. Yeah. It was the one that Feyre saw that was like, only a powerful woman could wear that.
But at the same time, you know, while they were in the summer court, Varian was acting like Amren, like, should not be left alone, which is true. But, like, was, like, watching her like a hog and seemed very angry. And then later, we find that he's giving her family heirlooms.
Oh, he's
whipped.
yeah.
Yeah. She reeled him in pretty quick. Yeah.
Makes me wonder what actually happened with them in the summer court.
We think they had done it. So
All right.
they probably did it the night of the boat, I would
Probably.
think. The yacht party that none of us were invited to. I want to go on a goddamn yacht. Come on, Dad. Why didn't we have enough money to get a yacht?
Yeah. Yeah, where are you going to throw it in? The St. Joe River?
Oh, that's just a river that's near our house.
I figured.
So then what did you think of, like, I just wanted to bring up the very big Rhysand and Feyre scene, because obviously that's the most important one in summer. I think it kind of leads into their romance. It's where we get the famous line, to the stars that listen and the dreams that are answered.
It's literally on the pillow behind you.
Shut up, I just realized that. Yes, it's on the pillow behind. I realized that halfway as you started talking, and I was like, I was like, I'm not gonna look though. I know this verbatim. I should know that. Because I think the biggest thing we got out of that was the quote, but it was also what he said about Tamlin. He said that, yeah, he loves you, but how much? He said, love can be a poison.
Right.
Which he was 100% right about. Like, turned out to be very, very true. That, like, is foreshadowing the whole end right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Very literally.
Mm-hmm. So then, lastly, the last part of summer, how did you feel about them stealing the book? Like, that whole scene in general.
Well, that was intense too, because they almost drowned trying to get the book out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But the water wraith came.
Saved them.
They saved him.
Now our debt paid.
That was really cool.
Something from the beginning coming back? Wonderful.
It was a cool callback that I wasn't expecting, but that I wasn't surprised about.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it was a pleasant, oh, yeah, that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best part, though, that Liesl brought up, and that's why I put the fan art online, was about the beach scene, though. Of them just sitting there, and then him poking at them and just being like, what the hell did you do to set off the whole goddamn place?
Yeah.
Yet again, he's just like another moment of Rhys looking at Feyre, this time with Amren, but looking at Feyre and being like, what the hell did you do?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's your fault we're getting into these situations.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, because that was, like, really the only time Amren came on a mission with them, because then for the rest of the book, she's kind of
Trying to decode book.
cloistered into the book, so...
And for Amren to be laughing so much.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious when they got back and everybody was like, what the fuck happened? And then they're just laughing at each other. It's a kind of bonding that I didn't necessarily see, but I was like, oh, this is nice.
It was not what we were expecting, but it's what we needed.
True, very true.
So they have their first half of the book. Amren looks at it. They go back to the mortal land to finally meet the queens. What did you think about them?
Yeah, meeting the Myrtle Queens for the first time.
This was the first
First
Mhm.
time.
well, with their guards and the
Bitches!
yeah, I don't
That was
think-
my first reaction.
Yeah, I don't think they really cared for him to, or what they had to say.
But like, what did you think about them, or personally what you thought about them, or also how did they get there? Like, specifically, they're humans. How did they winnow in?
Yeah, well, we talked about that the other night. How they
We talked about how, like, the hypocrisy of the queens just pissed me off, because they say they hate Fae and they hate magic, but they're using magic.
Right.
Mhm.
They're using some sort of winnowing power, which we never really get in this one. We don't really understand it. Yeah, so we were talking about them winnowing. How do you think they can winnow? Because it's never really said. I mean, we know, but...
Fae, so I don't know unless they are somehow, partly. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because, I mean, I think reacting to that whole scene, though, was the fact that how callous they were and how
Well, they didn't care.
unempathetic
They don't care.
or apathetic. I think that's what it is.
Apathetic.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they knew when you get further down the line, they knew that they were going to be protected.
Well, and they knew they were coming, too.
Well, that was the other thing too.
They already were compromised up until that point, but we didn't know that.
Mhm.
Right. Know that until the end.
So, but like even the initial though of it being like, hey, you got to prove yourself to us because you're, the High Lord of Night, you're the worst person,
Mhm.
Because it was really only the two queens that were talking though, the Golden Queen and the Elder one.
Right.
What do you think of what Nesta said to them?
Yeah, she wasn't happy with them.
She went ham.
Yeah, she wasn't happy at all with them.
Well, yeah, they basically said that anybody who lives on this side of the continent then can just go fuck themselves.
But just the fact that Nesta, like, tried to plead to them as human to human, and nothing happened out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was because Liesl brought that up when we talked about it. It was like the one time that Nesta like pleaded, because we haven't seen her like that ever
No.
as a character.
She's a sharp steeled sword. She's a viper. She doesn't plead. But here she was pleading. Not even for herself or just Elaine. Like, she was pleading for the other humans.
Yeah, this was the one time her not being selfish.
Right.
It was for actually the greater good.
And to no avail.
So yeah, what did you, it's a very small part of it, but as they're talking about, so transitioning transitioning out of the Mortal Queens, right? Like, they are looking for the Veritas orb. That's how, they're going to show, or that Rhysand is going to show that and they want to show them Valaris, right? So, of course, like, they have to go to the Court of Nightmares, which is going to suck, but, as they're telling them, so we get these two people that's brought up. So you might not have any thoughts about them, I just was questioning it. What about Miriam and Drake? These people that they keep bringing up that are, like, that were kind of the center of, almost like I said this to Liesl, it's almost Miriam and Draken and Jurian were like the Tamlin, Rhysand, and Feyre of their generation.
Of the war.
Back when, in the war 500 years ago, Jurian and Miriam were together. Something happened there to where, like, Jurian went crazy, and then when he was with Clythia, Miriam actually ended up finding Draken, who ended up being her mate, which that tracks. With Rhysand and her and Tamlin. Honestly, yeah, dude, I didn't think about how accurate that comparison was.
Like, that clicks, and I hadn't thought of that.
Because if you technically would say that Clythia is Amarantha, like, ooh, that adds a little element to that. But I was gonna.
Well, there's not too much on their back.
I mean, they did. Basically, they told us that there was like this queen in the Blacklands who was who made Amarantha look a fucking saint.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just added the perspective of what the war was like, because this is definitely a different sort of war. Whilst as the war, 500 years ago was, it was sparse all over the place. It was literally like a world war.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also just brings into the fold Jurian's whole point of existence. Jurian's whole, like, existence is about Miriam and Draken. That's what he said at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I bring them up is because it's important to his storyline. He wants to find them. They are somewhere. They are peaceful. Apparently they're coexisting with humans.
Who tells him at the end where they're at?
Nobody tells them because they don't know.
Even if Jurian thinks they do.
More said that they were dead. She tried to lie to him, but obviously he didn't believe her. But she didn't tell him. She doesn't even know. Nobody does.
They may not be dead, but they're still missing.
Yeah, so everybody thought they were dead, but then it turns out they've actually been coexisting with humans on this paradise island. And, I mean, what do you think about that? With not much to say about it.
Well, not much.
I think that's the difference of somebody like me. I'm just like, Lord. I'm like, I'm interested to know how this, like, all coincides with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of agree on that, I think.
I think so. So, their next mission, their next step in this quest, or a game, is they must get the Veritas Orb, which is at the Court of Nightmares. So, before we dive into that, I wanted to ask, what did you think the flight to Huon City? So, they're not winnowing there, they're flying in. Then they get attacked shot at with ash arrows. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I thought I wasn't so sure that until later on that they knew where they were at and how they find it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they found where they were going. So they were ready, basically. It was an ambush.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but how the hell did they navigate the Night Court? That's what boggles me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they've been just there, unattended, and have just been mapping it out on their own.
Which is a terrifying thought. And, like, well, actually, I mean, we could go into it, but, like, that could be, like, how they kind of knew the area that Valaris may be.
Because how would they have known so quickly? Because, yeah, everything's next to a fucking river or ocean. Like, that could have been anywhere.
Right.
Night Court's so vast. Why would they know?
But, like, if they are in there and making maps of everything, they could be like, well, there's this big area that for whatever reason we can't go to. Like, whenever we try, we can't go in.
Because how would they have tracked the Illyrian Mountains, though, too? Like, when they ambushed him a second time.
That's true. That doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, so that ambush was not great, but we finally make it into the Court of Nightmares. So that's a whole big hullabaloo.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say, not a hubba. I mean,
it is kind of,
it didn't quite work out. But anyway, so I guess, first of all, overall thought of the Court of Nightmares.
Okay, so this is girl's dad. She's
Moore's dad, yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
here.
So what do you think of the whole idea of, like, a city under the mountain? Like, this is the city that Amarantha based her court off.
right. Yeah, when they went there, it was kind of weird.
It's cool because it's, like, literally a fucking city under, like, with skyscrapers and shit. Well, skyscrapers in a sense, like, buildings and shit.
So it was different, yeah.
Well, also how they came in, too, because, like...
So badass.
They came in with swagger, they came in they came in as this is how they are portrayed to the world.
Right.
As bad mofos.
Yeah, badasses.
Nothing like what Feyre had learned to befriend.
Right.
Yeah, the Illyrians with all their 8 siphons. They might have just pulled their dicks out for how like much that was a power play. Like,
I know, covered in their armor, with all of their siphons like clearly visible,
oh yeah,
making
100%.
everyone kneel.
Yeah. So, what did you think of them, especially Rhysand playing the part of Mister of Ness?
Oh, that's funny.
Well, what about it was funny?
Oh, just the way he did, like he was, Billy Badass, to me.
Is that a reference I'm missing? What does Billy Badass mean?
Just, gonna show he's the
boss?
Yeah.
But he is. Like, that's what's funny about it.
Yeah, he's the big boss. But on top of that, on top of that, he's commanding the room, but then something else seems to happen, and they're playing a different kind of part, a distraction. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. What the hell are they doing for
Especially listening to the graphic, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Anthony, but still my heart, bitch.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? And I don't know if that took her off guard or what.
Oh no, he told her. Like, he was very transparent about what was going to happen.
And was hesitant to let her play that.
I don't think she was mentally prepared, though. Like, even if he explained it to her, the feelings that she felt were like...
Well, and he said, too, that I might do some things that you haven't seen or...
Well, yeah, but also, like, he's also apologizing in his mind, though. He's, like, doing shit, but then, like, being like, oh, I'm sorry, or warming his hands and da-da-da. But instead of being thing, she sits on his lap instead of on, like, a separate throne.
Mm-hmm.
And he always crowns her. Did you notice that? Always crowns her everywhere they go. At the meeting with the queens, he crowned her under the mountain. At every moment, he crowned her here.
She's not just a side piece.
She has always been his queen in his eyes, and he's always treated her as such, even when she didn't know it.
Yeah, I believe it.
But yeah, she goes there with like literally those 2 pieces of fabric again, and I mean they got the job done. Like,
well, yeah, they were just a distraction
for Azriel to get the orb.
Yeah, so that was of course that distraction turned into probably a little bit more than what everybody thought.
The push they needed though to like get some.
Yeah, so they succeeded in getting the orb, and then they were gonna head back, but Rhys wanted to talk it out because he just felt a little bit sad and like scared about doing that.
Because he also shattered Kyr's arm for calling her a whore.
That's true. That's true.
That scared her a little bit.
Right, when she's seen that.
Yeah, and so then he, instead of taking her back to Vallars immediately, they go find some mountain lake and just stand and talk. What did you think about their talk that then divulged into an argument?
Yeah, that was interesting point too. Yeah, when they got into the fight. Yeah.
Well, because she laid out all his insecurities to his face, like threw him back at him
with her own insecurities too, always comparing him to Tamlin.
Right.
Which, I mean, kind of true, but also at the same time, what was she gonna do? I see his point and I see her point.
And there's always gonna be a level of comparisons there because Rhys is so different.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily always bad, but they're gonna be there.
It's always it's normally always in a positive with him. But the times where like she'll just, I feel like when she did it in like bad way, it was always, well, don't start being like, well, no, bitch, I'm not. Like, that's where I think she goes wrong.
Well, they hadn't even slept together yet.
Yeah,
at this point.
There was enough sexual tension there to be just like, that was some sort of level of like second base.
Yeah.
Tamlin, they'd already slept.
Did you think it took them too long to do it? Or a good amount of time?
Yeah, it took a good amount of time, I guess, yeah. But Tamlin, seemed like it was right away.
No, it was not.
Maybe not.
It was like 6 months in.
Maybe not. Well, this is longer than that.
No, it isn't. It's like 3 months, bro.
Oh, seemed like a long time.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, so, of course, the fight ensues, them not talking to each other because he runs off to the House of Wind because he doesn't want to talk to her.
Right.
Because he's scared that she's gonna throw some more truth in his face.
Yeah, maybe.
And then then it's Starfall. The thing that you said was one of your favorite scenes. Because it's like, Starfall is thing where, to remind everybody is that it only happens in the Night Court and only happens once a year. And it's where all these spirits are traveling from, like, they're traveling dimensions. We thought it was just, stars crossing, but apparently they're spirits. Which is so gross still. I still find that so weird. And especially when it ends up on their face, I'm like, spirits on my face. Ew. Like, I feel like that's another like vulgar way of saying like the other thing. Let's not think about that.
Well, and it's funny, he's not there right at the start or whatever.
No, he's not.
Cass or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's a little disappointed.
Yeah.
She's like, oh.
And then he shows up just the right time.
Yeah, behind her, all up close to her. I'm like, oh, Anthony.
Well, that was pretty cool. I like that. And then they have a good laugh together because they get hit with a.
Is that a guy? Okay, we have a guy here now. Is that a guy move where like you're in a crowd of people and then he says, "Let's go somewhere else, somewhere more private"? That's him saying that he's into her, right? That you say?
Yeah.
Like, let's get out of here.
Get away from these people.
Well, but he wanted to have a more intimate moment. But actually, Dad was the one that brought up. It was I don't know if he remembers, but he was like, "Yeah, this is the first time it's been since Amarantha," and he brought that up that he liked about it.
Yeah.
Well, not liked about it, but there was now this one was special because they were all together and not in her bedroom. Which this is like such an iconic scene in Akatar. Like this is where all the fan art comes in. Her in her Starfall dress was just like a white star dress
that basically glitters. Like it's not even like sequins; it's glitter.
I've been trying to find one. So yeah, the whole laugh that they have with the spirits getting in their face. So they have star on their face.
Right.
They're talking.
Right.
Their romance is like why it's on the top of my list. I feel like when people think of fantasy books, and I even feel like you had this same sort of first impression, was that it's just romance and that's all you're shoved in your face. To me, this is like a seamless enough romance that there's enough action going on, but then there's these really good moments of romantic, really real scenes.
It's a good balance.
And especially, isn't that, more realistic of a relationship expectation of just feeling like you can laugh with the person that you're with?
Well, sure.
It's not like he's like some perfect white knight character who I'm gonna schmooze you this whole time. If anything, sometimes he's even awkward.
Yeah.
So it's very cute. Their romance is probably at the top of my list for good romances in these books. So yeah, so Starfall was a big one.
Yep. And something I guess that always, whenever I reread it, I'm thinking back on when Rhys says like, yeah, I just want to celebrate like with my family because I don't know when I'll be able to see this again because tomorrow we're going up to the Illyrian camps.
And that's where everything went downhill.
That's where
honestly,
things started going bad. But at least they got to dance throughout the night as a family. But anyway, so yes, the next day they are flying to the Illyrian camp. So what? There's a lot of things to discuss just about the Illyrians. We know about how they treat their females. What do you think about Illyrian camps in general, but also like meeting this Lord Devlin character?
Oh, he was funny too when they flew in there. He says, he wanted his house prepared for him. Well, I got my best men in there. Well, get him out of there.
Because that's Rhys's mother's house.
Yeah,
it's also his house.
Yeah,
if anything, that's another house that he has in the Illyrian camp. Technically,
but that guy, he come off as a dick.
But fair? Is that a right thing to say?
Well, he wasn't being fair to the women because they were supposed to be training, not doing the
fair
other
compared
stuff.
to everybody else, but that's not a high bar to set.
Right.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, they were. He says we want them training. Well, they wasn't training; they were doing other stuff.
They were doing chores.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about Cassian wanting to train the girls to fight?
He's a good trainer or whatever. Yeah,
I'd say so.
What a gentleman!
Train me, that's fine.
To wield a sword.
And oh,
okay, that's gonna end up as a TikTok.
Which one?
Illyrian sword.
Yeah, Illyrian sword.
Okay.
But no, I mean, if you try to have anybody to train, yes, it'd be him. Yeah.
Well, I think Liesl would want to
Azrael?
train swords with. That's real. How to wield your weapon? Okay. Let's go.
I was trying to come up with like a clever line or something, and it wasn't quite working.
Why did you have to say us that? Bro, you're with two book talk women who are going to take everything in a sexual innuendo. You also fell into that. You fell into that. That was your fault. But yeah, Devlin is the one that was their lord. So he's like, old as fuck. He's older than them because he was their lord camp, whatever, when they were young.
He was the one that like let them go in blood right
and trained them.
What did you think? Yeah, what did you think of the blood rite? The idea of it. Going into the woods for a week, wings bound, no magic, no weapons, and they have to make top.
And they
the
were separated too, again.
That their equivalent of a test, they can make it.
I mean, we kind of explained it as kind of like voluntary Hunger Games. Like, everything is free reign, but you don't get any, you have to also survive on your own too.
Yeah, there's no little bears coming down.
No, there's not. Definitely not.
So I think that was their test, yeah.
That's their test to become an Illyrian warrior, yes.
you couldn't pass that test, probably not gonna make it.
Well, kind of along, like, still talking with, like, Devlin, what do you think about, like, Devlin's reaction to Feyre and thus Reese's reaction to Devlin's reactions to Feyre?
Oh, that was funny.
He went like, he smelled her.
Yeah, it's like, and then Reese said she kill everybody in this place or whatever.
Well, yeah, but
something like.
He
and
said-
then he's thinking, okay.
well, he said she smelled like Amryn, which is a little wild. Why would you think that Devlin would think she smelled like her? They don't. The only thing that we know that they've got in common right now is that they're technically both made. They were made in such a different way. Why would that equivalate?
Well, they went,
you know what I mean?
They went to prison together, were they?
No. It's just something important to bring up, because why would he think that she smells like, or you know what I mean?
So then again, he don't know what she is.
But he doesn't like it either.
Right.
What Liesl is saying is that Rhysand said, she's mine. Any of y'all fuckers touch her and you're forfeit.
Well, yeah.
Your life is forfeit. The badass.
Honestly, I think that was also very important for him, because all those Illyrians needed to know that she was off limits.
Of course, knowing full well that the Illyrians were definitely eavesdropping on this conversation.
100%. They're trained warriors. Like,
They're going to be aware of it, but
Right.
and also this claiming of she's mine before the whole mate thing came out.
when you reread it, it's like, oh, duh. It's fucking right there.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I don't know what her reaction was to that, but
I mean, she obviously was blushed by it.
digging it too. But
She's digging it. I love how you say it's just like, yeah, it's digging it. Okay.
well, you're getting an old man's perspective.
Well, okay. I mean, you're still a dude, though. You got the anatomy for what we were going for. And I mean the dude brain.
Which is why you're here.
Yeah, so, obviously that leads them to go up in the mountains. And where you said your favorite scene was where she blows up but why does she blow up? What did you think about the whole Rhysand story? The fact that Tamlin lied, not only just about him thinking bare bones about Rhysand's past, but the fact that at the first, Rhysand and Tamlin were friends.
Right.
They were friends at first. He taught him Illyrian techniques, gave him that bandolier of knives, which we see later, which, holy fuck. To think that the bandolier of knives that Feyre saw at the beginning of the series was actually Rhys's knives the whole time is wild. So then thinking of that, and then also the whole thing that happened with his sister and his mom. Rhysand trusted Tamlin to a certain extent, saw him as an ally, and then he backstabbed him hella. Whether or not he was the one who actually killed his sister and mom, he was a direct cause of that.
Because Rhys had just told that fact, and Tamlin immediately went and told his father.
Because Tamlin made it seem that, oh, woe was me, my brothers and dad and mom are all dead because of nothing. No, they were fair game.
Literally, they started it.
They started it. If anything, the Night Court finished it. Because then, of course, Rhysand kills Tamlin's brothers.
I mean, that's the whole fact of Rhys saying along the lines of yeah, if I stole the right away, Tamlin has every right to come have a war on me or whatever. Or when they rescued her from the locked house. Yeah, I can't come in and steal her because then Tamlin would be able to declare war on the night. It's isn't this the same case of you come in and kill literally the High Lord's wife and daughter and just expect that doesn't go to war?
I mean, I feel especially when if the other High Lords are involved, if I'm giving you an actual answer, I feel if they thought it was so tit for tat and it happened so right after each other, then I feel they were all, okay, stalemate. There's no repercussion, there's no reprimands, what's done is done.
Right.
So none of the other High Lords got involved to make it an actual thing.
Well, yeah, but that's why for Tamlin's dad, for example, for him to not expect any repercussions, to just do it, and then Tamlin to not expect any other deaths, that's not going to happen.
Because that wasn't only his wife, that was Rhysand's father, that was his mate. And his daughter, his only daughter.
Yeah.
They fucked up. But the fact that Rhys's father killed Tamlin's mother was a terrible. Shouldn't have happened.
Right.
But what about the fact that even at the end, even after all that, knowing what Tamlin did, Rhysand still let him live.
And Tamlin thinks he's the bad guy.
He made it seem so cut and dry. He made it seem oh yeah, Rhysand killed my family.
Well, they both became High Lords at the same time.
Very visually cool then for the graphic too, because you heard the power shift and it was ooh. But yeah, Tamlin made it seem, I think that was when I was the most pissed. I'm you are leaving out a lot of details, my man. That is a lot of details to leave out of there. Just letting you know.
Yeah. And then she gets so angry, she explodes, which I agree is very, very cool because we're seeing more of her power, and then Rhys is just standing there oh, wow, okay.
He's kind of turned on, but at the same time, I'm kind of getting scared of her now.
Yeah, because she explodes, but then she also is able to put out the fire herself.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just standing there shocked. But then so they go back to the camp that day, and then the next day they decide to go on a longer trip to go further away from the Illyrian camp in case there's any more blow up. And first of all, I just want to comment this because I always comment on it. The fact that Reese is carrying all of their baggage and just letting her walk ahead unburdened. What a sweet
gentleman, sweetie.
But then, she makes him wait, and then she walks further away from him, and God, this is a cool scene. I like this scene. Who does she find there, or rather, who finds her? Lucian and a bunch of Spring Court sentries. What do you think of that whole situation with Lucian being in the Night Court to retrieve Feyre?
Well, yeah, that was surprising when they ran into them. And it's like, okay, well, what hell and how did they get it?
I think Hybern told them. It's like knowing retroact from what we know from the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was Hammond that was in there. Where was he?
He's a little bitch. He didn't show up.
Or maybe he understands in this weird, twisted way that he couldn't go into the Night Court to retrieve her, just as Reese couldn't go into the...
Actually, that's actually a good point.
Send your minions in.
I mean, I guess in that way, yeah, Liesl, you're definitely right there. He can't go in.
I think she was surprised to see him.
She wasn't happy, though. Like, she kept that arrow pointed at his face. Like,
yeah, so.
And he's just, like, trying to talk to her like a scared creature of, like, put it down. We're going home. Tamlin's been looking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, it was the way he was saying it. It wasn't even the fact that he was happy to see her.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it's we're coming to take back.
Right.
There wasn't this level of, oh, we're rescuing you.
Yeah.
It was...
what
was it?
Her home.
Did he say it? Was it he? What they were like? He said they were hunting for her.
Mm-hmm.
Bro,
I'd been hunting.
Dude, language.
They had been hunting for her.
Language matters.
Hunting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think one of the funniest things that when Dad read up until this point that he was excited to talk about was talk about what you thought about her wings, her growing her wings.
Shape-shifting.
Yeah, because I told her, did she have wings? What the hell? How did that happen? And then I'm like, oh, she can shapeshift into somebody that had wings.
Mm-hmm.
Using Tamlin's powers, specifically Tamlin's powers to shapeshift to scare away Tamlin's emissary.
Yeah, I had to explain that it was because kind of like how, when her being around Tarquin that made her powers manifest a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, being around the guys in Spring made it easier for her to shapeshift.
Yeah.
Well, she was also read his mind, doing things in his mind. The guy from not Springport, when they were there to get the book.
Tarquin's mind?
Oh, you mean Tarquin?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His mind.
Yeah, she warped it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's
She
getting
could.
more powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. To a good extent.
And what do you think about, once she had the wings and Reese showed up and, pleasure in the bond of just like, surprise, woo. But then also, so what do you think about the fact that Lucian actually snarled at Reese of like, what did you do? As if it was Reese doing this and that Feyre was not choosing this.
Right. He thought she was held against her will or whatever.
It always goes back to that easy cop-out answer. It's Reese's fault. It's like,
Yeah.
Is it though? Are you really looking at the scenario in a practical way? Hell no.
Yeah.
No. Like, Lucian, buddy, we need you to be a friend here.
He also, like you said, Liesl, he wasn't treating her, though, like somebody who needed to be rescued.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't this, okay, let's get out of here. It was, no, we're taking you back. Let's escort you away.
I was kind of surprised that Reese stood back in the wings, kind of just and didn't do much. Just let her do her thing.
Well, he answers that question, though, because he was waiting for her to make up her mind.
Oh,
he said that
she was still on the stages. Do you want to stay or you want to go?
But that was the choice, right? He said, I could find it and live with myself if you went with him willingly. But if I didn't, then I would have tore apart the world to get you back.
Right.
I love that I can pull those quotes just right out of my ass. I've read this too many times.
The fact that Lucian dared to like lunge at her though. And she went away and startled him.
To grab a hold of her,
Against her will again. Like, bro, it's all the signs.
Well, that's why he has reservations now.
He knew he fucked up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think Lucian knows something's not right.
Oh, 100%.
He knows something's going on.
Cut right through the bullshit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the balls to say anything. His character doesn't have the guts to say anything about it.
Which is so sad, though. Yeah, like, he's in bad situations, but he's also not helping himself.
Because, again, I love Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I know when he's definitely, like, screwing up, and I'm like, yo. Yeah, because he threatens Rhysand. He's just like, what is it? You're cursed, you and your entire damn court, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
you're dead.
Wow.
You and your entire court are dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the next one he becomes.
You think that Lucian is gonna become part of the night, just like that? Wild. Okay.
If he ever decides to actually ignore Tamlin, he's kind of stuck up right now, though.
Right.
Well, I think it'll happen.
Okay. Well, we'll get to your predictions later. But so yes, then as Liesl said, the end of that scene, you know, her wings are out, But the illustrious inn scene. The inn in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
Basically
Them
a
in that
brothel.
attic bed. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, room wasn't even big enough to.
They had one of these roofs where it was like.
Oh, yeah.
I told Liesl I literally live in the inn room.
Now you just need a bat boy with wings.
And he's nowhere to be found, but okay. Only in my dreams.
If that shit started walking through the door downstairs, I don't know what
Like a bat boy?
Yeah, with the wings.
I'd be open arms.
There.
Yeah, pretty much.
Him, Dad, putting his hands up, going, just go upstairs. Like,
He's like, I know why you're here. Go upstairs.
oh my God.
I'll be gone. Leave.
No, he'd just winnow into my bedroom.
Jeez.
He wouldn't even have to pass, y'all. Anyway, not like I've thought about this at all. I couldn't sneak a boy in here anyway. There's no way. But okay, digression. Yeah, so sorry. The inn. Yeah, like that's where we were. I think obviously this is like peak their romance. They're starting, but it's also them being very honest with each other, right? Because they're kind of forced in the one bed trope that's all over TikTok. They have to share a bed. I think I was a little bit surprised at how far it went. I thought they would definitely cuddle and touch, but I mean,
They cuddled and touched.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, it's basically, would you say that's second base? Third base? I'd say that's only second base. Because there's no oral. Third base is oral, bro.
Yeah,
So it's
that
like
would be second base.
It's like 2.5 base. It's definitely lingering, bro. You know when the runners get when they were halfway out on second base? That's where they're at right now. They really want to run to third, but not here.
No, because it's just a distraction.
Yeah, oh yeah. What would shrink a guy's heart on more is just her saying that just fun, just distract. I don't love you. Is that a turn off to a guy saying you're just a distraction? Well, you're our guy, Dad. You have to give us some perspective.
Yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, graphic audio. What did you think of? What did you think of them? Their scene.
Well, all right.
All right. Okay, that's okay. Top quality commentary, guys. I love you, Daddy. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was just them getting to know each other a lot, but I think it was a lot. They needed it.
The start of something.
The start of something new. Okay.
So yeah, they have that lovely night together at second base, second and a half. And then the next morning, it's kind of awkwardly quiet as Reese is flying her and seems to want to say something. And then first of all, I want to say, what did you think of the fact that Feyre was trying to help him say it by saying like, "I'll never walk away from you"?
Yeah, that was.
It's a nice sentiment, but when it came down to it, didn't fucking matter anyway.
She's like, "You're the only one I'll never walk away from."
2 chapters later, proceeds to walk away him in the mud.
Well, after she gets him back.
Yeah, thank goodness at least.
Right.
But yeah, so just as he's about to say it, suddenly there's a roar of pain because arrows pierce his wings. Ash arrows pierce his wings. And so what did you think about that? Seems like yet another ambush. What did you think about Reese getting attacked and Feyre having to save him?
This time it actually worked.
Right. Well, then again, they're following him on his. That's how they found him.
Magic.
Yeah. And then didn't he throw her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, threw her far away. So then she had tried to get back him. So
I think he didn't want her to be kidnapped with him.
Mm-hmm.
Then she probably would have got Gorgian shackled too.
He probably was hoping that she would then be able to survive because he had faith in her powers and maybe winnow back to the camp to get Cass or more. He probably was not expecting her to come after him.
Badass.
right.
I found it really cool, and I've mentioned this to Tabby multiple times now, of just how she then adjusted her eyes to night vision, and she winnowed branch to branch, and she literally hunted. Because if we think about it, it's almost actually in the first book when Tamlin got taken under the mountain and she was standing in the broken manor. This is just another set of tracks to follow.
We saw Huntress Feyre again, and I was happy to have her back.
Yeah. So what did you think of her finally getting to Reese and beating the shit out of everyone?
Killing everybody.
Yeah, that was another one of her powers or whatever.
I think that was just, honestly, I don't think that was her power. That was just her literally swording everybody.
Yeah, what they taught her, yeah. But then,
Cassian.
Yeah, then her trying to, winnow him out, but she can only go so far. Because I guess when they do that, the weight of somebody is not strong enough to do it.
She also isn't isn't a wizard at winnowing anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
she's not
So
good at it yet.
She could only go so far, yeah.
Yeah, then they're in the cave.
Yeah, kind of definitely very Hunger Games scene. They're in the cave and Reese is not getting better, so they wait out the night and he's still not better. So what does she decide to do? She decides to leave and go meet her old friend.
The cereal.
Yeah, so what this time she's using Alice's advice of using a cloak, specifically the cloak off her back to save Reese, which that has some symbolism in itself. But so she captures it, and what did you think of like the whole situation of the big reveal?
I wonder, I was kind of thinking that she maybe knew. I don't know. Maybe she didn't.
I don't think she knew enough about Faye to know what it was. That's why she was taken so aback, because if she would have been more in tuned about Faye, she would have already knew.
Yeah.
Just from the smell, the feeling.
Yeah, she doesn't know what it feels like.
So,
Yeah.
I think that's why she was so mad, is that it makes so much sense after she's told it.
The cereal said it's like, yeah, like it's just this pink flower in the woods. Make your mate chew on that. And she's like, pink flower in the woods. Got it. Wait, what?
Yeah.
It was so like casually brought up. Like, what did you say to me? Like, you didn't know you're the High Lord of Night's mate? It's like, no.
Interesting. Your emotions are too fast. I can't keep up.
Yeah,
Feyre,
what?
probably the only person ever to confuse a cereal.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, very true. But he out of there though. So we have this ongoing theory though that like the Suriel, why the fuck was he up? Because again, the Suriel are a race of creatures. Why was that specific one all the way up in the Night Court at this specific moment in this area? He fucking knew. He knew.
He's like, well, let me check my schedule. I guess I'm due to be visiting the Night Court very soon here. I've got an appointment with my girl Feyre.
Which is like the whole past, future, present sort
Well,
of seer abilities.
I think he knows her power too.
Yeah.
Where she is.
Everybody does now.
And then she gets pissed off because she ain't nobody's mate.
Tantrum at best.
That's true.
Because even Dad said, he's like, is it that bad to be his mate? I don't think it is.
Well, it's like, I don't know why she got pissed. I mean,
Just the fact that like he didn't tell her.
yeah, and she didn't, well, I don't know. She was ready to be anybody's mate at that time.
I think it was also she wanted to decide for herself about something, and that was something else that seemed like it was taken away.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, because when you think of mates, like, the choice isn't there anymore. Like, when people think of mates, like, there's no choice. Like, you guys are destined for each other, that's it.
Right. Because, like, there isn't, even though it gets mentioned, you know, about the idea of rejecting the bond, but most people don't even think that's an option.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess to move it along, then she grabs the flower still, even though she's pissed. She grabs the flower and it's like she doesn't even like pick it gently. She just rips it out of the ground with the dirt clumps still in the roots and just tosses it on him. And so he's like sitting up warily and the dirt's all over him in clumps and she's just like, chew that. Sorry, I was supposed to ask a question at the end of that. So yeah, what do you think of like his like sudden like fear reaction to her being like, shut up, stay down, like this is my time to talk, you can only answer?
Yeah, I think he got taken back by that. And he's like, what's going on here? Yeah.
The fear in his eyes, though, when she said, how long have you known I'm your mate? I haven't known that long.
And
Yeah.
he's
Since
like,
Calamine. Since
Calamine.
Calamine. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I think when Amarantha was killing you, maybe before that, it's like, that was 6 months ago.
So long ago.
And before she can even, like, let him explain, he tries to ask a question, and she's just like, nope, no questions, only answers. Like, you don't get to talk. And then she makes wounded, still healing and injured Reese winnow them back to the Illyrian camp, which props to him, you know, for having so much power to still do that, even while weak. What do you think of her going back on her words and walking away from him, leaving him, almost like crying in the mud, reaching out for her?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, to the point of, you know, I didn't think it was that bad for her to be his mate and why she left. I mean, why? You know? And then she was like, get me out of here. So then Moira takes her to the other little house that they have.
I think she also wanted to do that just because she wanted to see if they do it. Will you take me out of the situation like I thought you would?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Well, and they knew.
Like, yeah, I mean, besides that, the fact that they already knew.
Yeah, the only one that didn't know was her.
Would you take me out even though he's your High Lord and you speak to him? Will you take me out knowing that I'm upset about this?
Well, she found out that they would do anything for her as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Since they had mentioned it, of course it like would not come as a callback of just like, well, you said that you would like get me out of here if Reese was ever doing something I didn't like or like hurting me. It's like, well, I feel hurt and betrayed. That counts. So will you take me out of here like you said you would? And while Moore, of course, hesitates at first, then like she immediately does. So
they needed the distance too, I think. Like, because I told Liesl when we made the episode, I was like, they have been together, attached to the hip this whole time.
they haven't had any time to think
They haven't been out of each other's presence. Like, they kind of needed a few days to cool off.
and to process their thoughts.
Process their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, everything. That's why Starfall hit, because they had some sort of a couple days where they weren't in each other's presence.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a healthy way.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely all of us were mad as shit, though. We were all like, okay, you're just being a little toddler about this. Toddler having a tantrum. But I think that's the point.
For her to take 5 days.
That was wild. That was so stupid. But the thing is, even that whole time, she's like, yeah, I fucked up, didn't I? Like, she knows full well what she did.
Well, yeah, the one girl had to come and tell her, don't that bad.
Yeah, more did. Yeah, because now we're finally up at the cabin.
The fucking cabin.
The fucking cabin, yeah. Our inside joke. It's true, isn't it?
It's the fucking cabin and the fucking cabin.
Yeah, it's like, it's just, oh, okay.
Another house that they fucking got.
But it's all magic, so it's all, like, food, da-da-da. He is so baffled, but if anything, you're kind of mad that that's how they exist. They just exist and clothes happen, and food happens. Like, they don't have to go to the grocery store and pick up,
it just don't happen, I guess.
In their world, it does. That's why in fantasy, anything can happen, dude.
Right.
The little things happen. So yeah, like, of course, like Liesl said, there's like 5 days where, and then she paints the whole cabin, like,
And then he shows
with the eyes
Yeah.
up on the top. That was pretty cute. I think it was also her letting herself loose, because again, up until now, she's never painted.
Right.
She hadn't painted since.
That was her stress release or relief or whatever.
I think that was her finally coming out of her depression. Like, obviously, she still has depressive moments after this, but I think this was fully when she comes out of it.
It's kind of like that turning point when something finally clicks inside you and you're like, okay, I think now I'm on the uphill climb now.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Well, then he walks in. It's like, oh, you painted the place.
I mean, he doesn't give a shit. If anything, he's just like, oh, it's good.
Then they get paint all over and everything else. So
I do want to, like, because, like, this is the whole crux, and this is what, obviously, is Rhysand's whole character, so I want to dive into it. Obviously, bare bones scraping through it, but... So, chapter 54 is his whole backstory. Starting back at, she's making him suit, and after, whatever, she can decide whether or not she accepts the mating bond by giving him food. So we start back, like, in his lore, when he started in, Amarantha's camp. So, he was, so Amarantha knew him all the way back then, but, like, she never remembered him.
when he grew up, yeah.
Yeah, because during the war, at the end of it, him and his whole legion were captured and tortured. Well, he had to watch his soldiers get murdered because they were trying to figure out where Rhysand's dad was.
Yeah, at the
Like,
time, Rhys was just a High Lord's son, probably like in his 30s. And so
Wasn't anybody important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just more of a bargaining chip in that sense.
Yeah. And so the fact that Rhysand was like gung-ho about killing her all the way back then gives so much context to how much he actually cared to do what he did under the mountain at all.
Yeah.
Like, he was ready to kill this bitch like 500 years ago. Why the hell would he decide to be her whore later,
Just the whole line of like, and when I saw that she couldn't keep her eyes off me at party, like I knew what I had to do.
Yeah, it's like, that was rough.
I made
like,
a decision.
Before, yeah, so, obviously Amarantha kills Jurian, and then, of course, he gets, they go back to the Night Court afterward. Him, Cassie, and Azrael reunite. They're all different. And then the treaty's made, but it's very one-sided. Like, Hybern and Amarantha just got away with everything.
So
They're just like, slap on the wrist. Okay, your slaves are gone, but you're not gonna get reprimanded at all. And slavery's null and void. And then, of course, Amarantha coming back later, and him not trusting her at all, and the fact that Tamlin didn't trust her was his big red flag. And then the fact that he went to Under the Mountain that night alone. Cassie and Azrael Moore didn't, even Amren didn't show up, and he was gonna kill her.
They didn't know he went.
They didn't know, and she entrapped him. And last ditch effort, well, that was something we didn't figure out till later, is that he actually bound more Azrael and Cass to Valaris, so they couldn't leave if they wanted the city to be checked. So he kind of nailed their wings to the wall at that about leaving.
Right.
He gave so much, and like all of us book talk girls will defend this man till the last stand, because that's a good man right there. 100%.
Kind of stupid in his self-sacrifice, but
True. True.
Yeah, you start finding out. Yeah.
I think the biggest part of that reveal, though, that definitely threw me off guard, was the fact that he dreamed of her before they met.
When she was still human and on the other side of the wall.
That was wild. What'd you think about that? Cool, right?
Yeah.
Because then, like, he sent the image back, and the whole, you know, her painting the night sky was, like, actually him sending that image to her.
Yeah.
And then, you know, him knowing her scent beforehand, and that's what made him want to go to Kalanmai in the first place, was because he knew she'd be there. It's so sweet.
His backstory, chapter 54, makes me cry every time I read it. And when I was listening to it, I'm like...
I actually think 54 is probably my more chapter than 55.
Yeah.
Obviously 55 just for the sex, yeah. But 54 was my token.
Yeah.
That's the one I think of the most. Because then, of course, like the events of Under the Mountain, we're now getting it from his perspective, right? He was so scared when she showed up. You know, when her name was called, the fact that he sent Claire to death, he like feels terrible about it. Because he thought it was a fake name.
Right. And then when they give it to her, they went and found Claire.
It's like, oh, I thought she was just giving like a no nonsense name. I didn't think this woman was real.
Right.
It's wild. It's one of my favorites. Because then, of course, you know, you get to in like his confession, right? You know, his confession of, I haven't been able to stay away since your neck snap. We've been tied. I haven't been able to stay away from you. I tried. And then you called out for me on the wedding day and I just couldn't stay away. And then afterwards. And the fact that he only made the bargain, not only because like, you know, he needed her to survive, but it was because he knew that once they survived it, that he would never see her again.
Yeah.
So he wanted to see her at least at some point later. So why not ask for 1 week a month?
Well, I think that's why they put the tattoo on her as well.
Oh yeah, because they brought up about the Illyrian. It was his way of giving her good luck.
And glory.
Yeah, it was the Illyrian tattoo. I think that my favorite part of their kind of like back and forth though with their romance was when he said he thought of Cassian and the worm thing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if you don't marry her, you stupid prick, I will. That's cute.
Like the whole thing of like, wait, you fell in love with me because I reminded you of your best friend?
It's like, you're one of us, bitch. That's what I meant. But yeah, so anything else about, you know, their tryst, their love? No. So then, you know, because we're not going to go through like all of chapter 55, but the subsequent paint and destruction of the cabin going round after round for how many days? How many days did they go?
2.
2? Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
With only
What'd you
like
think of
a few hours of sleep.
Oh, right. What'd you think of the graphic?
I thought it was okay.
I think they did an excellent job.
Yeah.
I mean, considering.
Well,
Yeah.
Reese, I will say, Reese definitely followed through on his quip from the inn of that when they finally get together, he wants her laid on the table as a personal feast.
Yeah, he says that to her, yeah.
This is like the difference between like the girls and the guys. I mean, I feel like, you know, even the gay guys would love this, but, you know, there's a level of, this is like squeal moment level of romance, bro. He's like worshiping the hell out of, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. Because then she says something like about like, you know, Tamlin was good, but Rhysand was ravenous. Like, I think that's also their mating bond a little bit, but.
Yeah. Or like, what do you think of like the whole idea of saying the mating bond immediately, whenever it snaps into place, like it's constant sex for however long they can to cement that in, and they'll bite anyone else's head off.
Yeah, because he was talking about that after he would get, or they'd have
Give
some
him time.
steam.
Well,
Yeah.
because isn't this funny? Because then subsequently what happens all after this is they just made it. And all this shit happens after that. Like in a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
I did want to say the part about the fact that she sunshines because that's important later. That was so cute.
Well, he got in a fight with Cass.
Oh,
too,
100%. When he went back.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, John Vertullo, the guy who does Cassian, that whole thing was hilarious as hell. Because he just sees, he's like, well,
Yeah.
about time.
Yeah, because he knew he got
Like,
laid.
take me for a ride. And then Anthony, the pure feralness that came out of his voice, and then all the hearing the Illyrians on the graphic go up in the air.
Shoot to the sky with the females and children.
And the fact that Cassian's just laughing his ass off as Anthony's pummeling him.
Right.
Oh, and Cassian's like totally just pummeling back.
Oh yeah. And Moore's just more casually opens the door and is like, welcome to the family, Farah. In a weird way, cute.
Yeah.
And then he fucks her on the table and tells him to get out and
Tells him to get out first.
yeah, at least. That's fair.
The fact though that they're pretty sure that that the Illyrians in the sky can still hear her.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Those walls are not that thick. Well, throughout all that excitement, we finally are going back to meet with the queens. The second time, which, Reese had casually just brought up while they were in the tub of like, so we're going to meet the queens again. And they're like, wait, what?
When did they say this?
It's like, okay, you couldn't have told me earlier. It's like, well, I was distracted. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, so yeah, they go back to meet with the queens again, with the Veritas orb. So what do you think of the queens being shown Valaris?
Well, I thought it was funny in the group. Well, Farrah's sitting there, and she's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. She had
an instinct
that shit was going to go down.
We were all thinking that, though. I feel like we were all saying the same thing. Like, yeah, this doesn't feel right.
Because I figured something was going to happen, when he did show him, and it did.
Yeah, just like you said, it did, and it did real bad. Feyre just chilling, hanging out with Cassian, and then what happens? Just giant shake. Like, just hang on. It's just a lot to think about. Overall, I just want a general overview of what you thought on the attack.
Yeah.
I thought, it happened kind of the way I thought it was going to happen. They were going to come in and
fuck some shit up.
Yeah, but then again, she was fighting with kicking their ass. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that showed,
she drowned them, water wolves and all that.
Right. That showed everybody that she would take care of anything that was his or that she loved.
What do you think about the fact that the Golden Queen was skewered on a light post by the adder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eyes clawed out, hair ripped out.
Still alive, wheezing.
Because if we remember, she gave them the book.
Right.
She gave them the second half of the Book of Breathings.
Well, did she?
Yeah, she did.
It was underneath her thing.
She left it for them.
I know.
When she pretended to drop her handkerchief and bent over to pick it up.
Put it down.
Yeah.
Very smooth, actually, on her part. Too bad that it had to end that way. What do you think about the fact that Feyre then decided to take out the adder and subsequently lock Reese out completely?
Yeah.
She stabbed him, caught him on fire,
winnowed onto him in midair,
and then plummeted him to the ground. Yeah. Made him splatter on the ground, bro.
Badass.
Winnowing away last minute.
Yeah.
Definitely showed that power that you said that you liked.
Yeah.
And the fact that Reese was calling to her, but she just blocked him out.
Right.
Night Triumphant, her mate.
Yeah. He was fucking some shit up too. Dude, but Amren was holding her own, dude. She was showing them their worst nightmares.
Right.
Or yeah. Ugh, God, that's such a scary power though. That is powerful power. Or the idea of plunging down into the city but being a foot away.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's glad she's on our side. Yes. But so then Feyre gets a new nickname, Defender of the Rainbow, which is lovely. Makes me super happy. And as they're all kind of a little beat up and a little grimy and dirty, just talking, they make a plan to go to Hybern. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it was kind of funny, what they were talking about. It's like, hey, well, we planned this out. Everything is on time. And I'm like, they're going to get in there and get all fucked up because a plan ain't never going to come together. And sure enough, that's what happened.
What is you saying?
You want to make God laugh, make a plan.
That's Dad saying.
That's a good saying.
It'll be a laugh.
Yeah.
The plan will change no matter what. But yeah, I kind of figured something was going to go down and it wasn't going to go the way they expected.
They also hadn't been in war in a long time.
Feyre had never been in war.
They underestimated them.
Oh yeah, she did. Well, and one other thing too that showed Cass Azrael more on Amren, she would protect Valaris. So that showed that she loved them, loved the city, loved him.
Oh my goodness.
She was a part of that.
Because I think I brought it up to Liesl, but I think what was so good about Sarah setting all that up was she was remembering walking the streets with Moore whenever they talked about it, or going to Amren's apartment to give her, they set up those moments so that she loves the city just as much as they do.
Right. So she was going to protect. Yeah. Just like at the end of the book she's doing now.
Yep.
They don't think so, but she is.
Oh no, they know, but
she's like, and they're like, where's she at?
Yeah, so as Liesl said, they make a plan. Amren tells them that there's a spell that will nullify the cauldron if Feyre touches it, and but Amren's staying back behind, so she doesn't. Right. Not that Amren, I don't think, would have been able to do anything too, because they were just powerless.
But it was also the case there. They put the ward back up. I guess we kind of forgot to mention the wards were completely destroyed by something.
Oh yeah,
but the wards were put up better than before, and Amren chose to stay behind as well to help protect.
I'm just saying, even if Amren did go, even if she was able to go, there's not she would have been able to do anything.
Yeah,
they were fucked either way. But so yeah, like, so the plan was Rhysand was going to be outside while they go in. And so it works relatively okay for the first part. Like, Az is killing folks as they're going in.
Yeah.
And then
until they get down there.
then they see but it's so unprotected. Why is it, like, Liesl brought up a good point. We thought the king would be next to the cauldron at all time. Why is it just sitting in this bottom of this place unprotected?
Mm-hmm.
A lot more to it than that.
That was a trap.
Yeah.
But it was a clever trap too, in the sense that, you know, it wasn't just like left out in the middle of the throne room or anything, like left abandoned there. Like, it was down under the castle, so as if King was trying to hide it. So it was like, it wasn't a super obvious trap. Well, kind of, but you know, it wasn't too obvious in the sense of like, it wasn't blatant.
Right.
Also, I think Graphic did a good job with the tension of it.
Mhm.
Like, there was like this tense music behind it, and then like when you got to it, it was like, oh yeah, shit. Because Durian walking down those steps was epic as hell.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this motherfucker, okay, it's real, all right.
That guy's
Because again, they were just speculating. Like, obviously, the Bone Carver told them that he was alive, but they didn't really see that.
They didn't know till then.
that he's alive.
And of course, and Feyre almost fucking dies, so the spell didn't even work. The spell that, well, but she never even got a chance.
And
No.
she put the book halves together, even though Amren told her not
Yeah.
to. So, like, what do you think about that? The fact that she, like, trusted her gut to put them together.
Well, the book was also talking to her too. But
Coercing her to do it.
yeah, so I think power overtook her. She couldn't in her mind. So.
And I think what that question Liesl is leading into is, what do you think about Amren's warning of, if you put the both of the halves, like, ancient shit will come out of the woodwork and fuck everybody's day up?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know that.
Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I think if anybody messes up anything, it's going to be her.
Feyre?
Okay.
She does a pretty good job of holding herself.
Have all the faith in her screwing up. Yeah. She screws up with style.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, you know, Jurian was like the distraction. He distracted them so that the King of Hybern, you know, did his thing, and so then Rhysand winnows, and they're all trapped. All the magic is gone, their mating bond is muted, they can't, magic, they can't winnow out of there.
Well, everybody's powers one.
Well, but until later. Like, it's nullified originally.
Right. And then I think he finds out.
Very quickly. Well, what did you think about Azrael getting shot? Did you think he was gonna die?
Yeah, I thought. Because supposedly now they're waiting on the healers, right?
Do you think he's dead? Do you think he's gonna
I
die?
don't think he's dead.
I mean, because he wasn't just shot. He was, it had the bloodbane in it, too.
Right, because it had poison in the arrow, yeah.
But the king just made that disappear. The bloodbane in his system's gone, by the end of it at least.
That's true.
So he's still shot, but
they're waiting on the healers, so. But I think Fair was somewhat of a healer as well, with their blood.
yes. Mm-hmm. She has Dawn's healing magic, yes.
So I think that's why they're calling her to come in and heal and help.
But she's in spring. Can't.
I know, that's what they wanted to know, why she is there and why she is not with them.
Oh, well, I think she was just... Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah.
You're getting ahead of me. So then Hybern walks down. What do you think of Hybern as a villain? Because, I mean, he's still the villain now. Like, he's big bad.
The Graf does a pretty good job, I thought, in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Silver does the voice. Yeah.
I think too.
So
I mean, you'll always hear me say that the graphic was good, so...
I think, yeah, that's pretty.
So yeah, then what did you think about, like, it was like surprise after surprise, right? Because when they go up to the throne room, who shows up? It's Tamlin and Lucian. Come out of the shadows like fucking mercs. Traitors, bro.
Well, then they figure out, then he tells them or explains to them, that.
Working together this whole time so that, like, the whole bargain that Tamlin made with Hybern is that Hybern got Feyre back, and so Tamlin will allow them to go into his land. What a fucking idiot.
Or cross on part of it or whatever. Yeah.
Or house them, even.
Right.
Like, that's so open-ended. For a Fae, he should have known that that's, like, a very open-ended bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let them into his lands. What does that mean? Does it mean transportation? Does that mean they can stay there? That's so... He made the worst deal I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Just because of his delusions about getting Feyre back.
Go back to the love is always...
By the way, he very much is like, Feyre, come. Like, that gives me the whole vibe of, like, end of Harry Potter when Narcissa is just like, Draco, come.
Ah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, the graphic. Henry did such a good job, but I also was, like, hating the fuck out of Tamlin, too. I was like,
Yeah.
You know what actors
so,
do
yeah, so-
when they can make you hate character.
But it was also the fact that the bargain had so many layers. It wasn't only just, that they'll be let in. It's that Feyre's gonna work with Hybern now. Excuse me? You're talking on behalf of me now?
Right.
How could he fuck up more, is all I'm saying. Like, he is taking literally every worst decision he could make.
Yeah.
Tamlin, Lucian appear. They monologue. And then, of course, Hybern. Okay, do you also find it weird? Because we both did. That he can summon the cauldron like that? This is the cauldron, the thing that made their life force, made their world. How the fuck is he able to summon it?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised on that, yeah.
I think we talked about it in our finale episode. At least my explanation for that is because he put it together. Because remember, the whole thing was that put pieces back of it together. The lake. So I wonder if he put it back together, does that mean that it obeys him in a certain way?
Probably.
And my theory was along the lines of like maybe he made a bargain with the cauldron itself.
Yeah, I think that. And then it was the big bombshell. The Cumin Queens entering and with the sisters in tow.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was shocked. I was not expecting that at all.
Fucking Ianthe.
Ianthe sold out her sisters because she wants power. She wants the high priestesses to rule instead of the lords. Yeah. So it wasn't just about fucking her way to power. It was about fucking her way to power and then killing said and trying to make it seem like some noble mission of, well, Feyre is immortal. Her sister should be immortal too, so they never have to, die. Fuck you. That's
yeah.
But the human queens also don't do it. They're just as bad because they want power. They want immortality. So Nesta and Elaine get put in the cauldron. They turn Fey in the most brutal way possible because again, this black liquid is not some, it's not some water that you get from the park, like the park water fountain. No. This is like pure acid.
It's like
they're literally getting burned to death. Their humanness is being burned off. Right. Dude, Nesta was badass this whole time in the graphic. She was amazing because she's screaming and hollering and shit. And then the death promise. What'd you think about her finger as she's going in? She's pointing at him. Yeah. Your neck, like you are going to die, and I am going to kill you.
Yeah. You're dead.
What do you think about the fact that she said that Nesta came out differently? Like the world stopped. Nesta came out differently than Elaine did.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think that means? You don't know? Like
I don't know. I don't think I have a theory on that one.
You're just waiting to see how it goes.
Yeah,
I see. And then of course we learned another big bombshell of the fact that Elaine and Lucian are mates.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I don't think half the fandom understands it, is what the answer to that is.
It's two people of equal power.
Yeah, mates are supposed to be two people of equal power.
Yeah, but Elaine don't have any power.
How do you know that?
Or does she? Well, now.
How do you know that?
Now she might have, since it,
But also, we haven't seen the extent of Lucian's either.
Oh, also going back to the cauldron, if the queens wanted to see immortality, why wouldn't they jump in either?
Well, that was the whole thing that we didn't see, though. That's what's like going to be there's going to be a plot about it in the next book, because they were all about to jump in, but we didn't get to see that. What do you think happened to them? What do you think if they went? Because remember, the Hybern said, which was so important to say, is that only the strong-willed could come out alive.
Might be for them.
Well, like you don't think they're as strong-willed to come out alive? Do you think it killed them?
It may.
Or what do you think it did to them?
It may.
Because we're assuming as readers that they went in after behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, because that's what they want. They wanted him.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you jump in?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what they're thinking,
Honestly, I would have rather died the Feyre way, honestly. I don't know if I want to be drowned in acid. Like, I would have rather had my neck snapped and it be quick.
But he showed him twice.
But they're also, if we're going off of our assumption, like Liesl said about our Fae heritage thing, what if it only pertains to them, though? Again, that's
I don't know.
That's another theory for the next book that you should be thinking about. But yes, that happens. And then, of course, Feyre does the whole breaking fake. So she breaks through the ward. She breaks through Hybern's power to free her own. And she does her whole flashy light thing. But she pretends that she's broken Rhysand's curse. Wasn't that so sad?
Yeah.
Heartless, what do you mean?
I think it was Tamlin got his way. Or what do you think?
He accepted it so quickly. He accepted it so quickly. I was like, what?
He didn't even think about it.
Didn't even second guess.
Well, it's funny, going back to the king, they're supposed to be able to see mate. He didn't see them. She didn't wear the ring either.
Well, no, they did. At some point they did.
Or she had
they figured it out. No, the whole thing about the ring is that she didn't actually end up wearing it. We find out later that she had two gloves on, and the one that they broke her bargain bond with was on her left hand, and that tattoo is gone. But her other hand has the High Lady marks on it.
Covered by a glove.
Because they went the night before them going.
Oh.
And technically they got married. Technically that was also them getting married, but it was more so the fact that she took her vows as High Lady.
Right.
Dumb as fuck. Taking off the one glove and not taking off the other one. No, they did. Hybern did see their mating bond, though. It wasn't until they got closer together that they smelled it.
Yeah, it was when the first time that Feyre broke through the wards and winnowed away from Tamlin. Again, when he lunged. So I don't know what it is about spring fairies and lunging at women, but pretty much. But
barbaric.
Yeah, pretty much. Feyre winnowed over to Rhys into Rhys's arms, and that's when they noticed.
Oh, he also sucker punched the hell out of Tamlin too.
Yeah, when he got close.
We were like, yeah, like we were all like happy about that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But yeah, so no, she fakes it. Hybern breaks their quote unquote bond, even though we know mating bonds can't be broke at.
And the fact that Rhys was actually broke character for a minute to be like, no.
I know. He went back to his hands in his pocket and, his mask. Yeah. It was so sweet.
So sad.
I kind of thought at first he didn't know what she was trying to do.
Well, they couldn't talk to each other. They couldn't Daemati talk to each other, so he had to read her.
And then he figured it out.
Because he knows her that well. It's like that night in the inn, he said that most of the time I don't even need to listen to you mind to mind. I know it's all on your face. Because he knows her that well.
And then on top of the fact that Feyre accepted the mating bond after hearing everything, like he knows she's not just gonna leave.
Yeah. Like he knew she was playing a part. They've played so many parts together in the Summer Court of Nightmares, like all that. Like they know by now each other's tells. But yeah, so then of course Rhys winnow them all out of there, including the sisters. I feel kind of bad for Lucien. Lucien get pushed like twice. He got pushed by Nesta initially, and then more pushed into the ground, and then the sisters are like, he's just getting pushed left and right.
And then he's like, no, we gotta get them back, my mate.
And then Tamlin says, fuck you. No, we're not. We're not going after them. Like, no, like, we're fine now.
Wow, if that doesn't make Lucien, like, leave him, though, literally, you guys are, like, friends, right?
I helped you get your girl back, and she's not even your mate. I have one.
Right. And then, of course, fucking Jurian, just like, you know what Illyrian males do to females, right?
Oh, girl. But the thing is, I told you in the episode, he kind of isn't wrong about that. A little bit, he isn't wrong about, like, Cass and Az are the only two.
He just is not speaking about the specific males that just took him.
Yeah. What was funny about Jurian's response, though, is that he was like, he was the first one to go, huh?
Yeah, that's true. Immediately after of, like, stay away from me, or, like, Tamlin, I'm free, or whatever it was. Him just, like, lowering crossbow, like, wait, what?
He's like, something's off here. Like, he's the one who notices it right away.
I mean, he is a general. Technically, he was a human general.
Jurian is somehow way smarter than, like, half the people in that room, which is scary.
Yeah.
Obviously, that happened. Rhysand goes back. Amren's, like you said, screaming, where is she? Where is she? Then he gives us the bombshell about, she's actually the High Lady. And so they're like, wait, she's in enemy territory right now? Go get her.
Right. But then he's trying to tell him she's trying to save all of this for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, now because the game has shifted. Because their whole goal this book was to stop the king before he could do anything. Like, still the goal is to stop him destroying the wall. Right. But now the game has changed.
Right, yeah.
They got to shift with the game.
Because now Hybern is allowed in spring.
So she has to figure out as much as she can because she could probably yeet out of there anytime she wants, honestly.
She has the skill for it now as well. But especially because Azriel's spies are out of mission.
And because they're underestimating her.
Yeah.
Because they don't know to the extent that the others do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that the king don't know her powers either.
Mm-mm. I mean, that's what makes her a threat.
Or what she can do.
Well, and it's important that Rhys has the Book of Breathing still. King doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Which the king was pissed about to find that Rhys had taken it.
Yeah.
And then,
that's funny too.
Of course, like now it's Akawar time, and so then Feyre goes back. The funniest thing about the last chapter with Feyre is that Tamlin is it's almost kind of a comparison to the end of the first book, right? When Tamlin's leading her back to spring, and he's like, welcome back home. And then she looks behind, gives Lucien like a cheeky grin. Bitch.
Yeah.
Like, Lucien 100% knows what's going on, but he can't say anything about it because he knows that if he says anything, Elaine's gone. He'll never see her again.
Which definitely suggests to me that, like, when he was in the Night Court, he definitely was just there on, like, specific directions. He was winnowed directly there or something. Like, he doesn't know his way around the Night Court. So his only chance to find Elaine is that. So
I mean, yeah, so, Tamlin unwittingly led the High Lady of the Night Court into the heart of his territory.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny coming full circle because he was trying to get information from her when she went.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, she's going to get information from them.
Mm-hmm. About their movements.
It's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Do you have any big theories about the next book? Where this is going?
No, she's going to, the war might start. She's going to finish it. And she's going to be like an atomic bomb.
Wait, you think she's gonna kill herself?
No, kill everybody else.
You think she's gonna kill the king?
Oh, man, no doubt. No doubt. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna go down with her, because you can't be protected by her.
I think this next Act of War is definitely like boom, boom, boom a lot. Event. Dad was so excited. He was like, "Well, I gotta read the next book." I'm like, "You haven't listened to all of our episodes yet. You gotta finish our season, and then you can listen to the next book."
Yeah.
That's why I said I was kind of pissed how it ended, you know.
Oh,
I agree.
cliffhanger.
The
Mhm.
cliffhanger
So
sucked.
if you didn't have the next book to read, yeah, you were waiting, so that kind of sucked.
Yeah, but it was a perfectly executed book. I think
Yeah.
as perfect as it could have been.
Yeah.
Do you have anything for Dad before I give my outro?
No, not really.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was so happy to have you back because ACOTAR was great. Our first Dude's Perspectives was great, but also like this is like a new level because this is our favorite book. I think us both collectively.
Yeah.
It just ingrains you into the world, and now you're a part of it, Dad. You're a part of the ACOTAR fandom. You won't turn. You might not be as invested as us, but you're definitely invested in the story. So welcome.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I got more reading.
more listening to do, but you do it because you love it. So thank you so much for being our Dude's Perceptive. We really appreciate it. Much love. We love hearing your thoughts about it. So we'll enjoy seeing you next season. So yeah, like please, our next episode is going to be our last episode of the season. Holy shit. Wow. It's been a crazy ride. It feels surreal sometimes. So yeah, then we'll have our mom's critique episode and that will be wild.
Yeah, the four of us will be in person.
Yeah. So yeah, Liesl graduation's this weekend, so we'll all be in person.
Yep.
So yeah, so please, like always, follow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Please review our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to them. Hearing back feedback really helps us. And going into our third season, we're thinking of, we're starting our Patreon because obviously we need help in terms of paying for some of the websites and things that we put our podcast on. So it just helps admin finances.
Yes.
So we'll add some things, we'll add some tiers, and we'll have that for next season.
Yeah,
so.
and if you have any ideas for tiers or things that you want to see that you could unlock, like really, again, along with the feedback, like we love hearing from everyone. We love seeing like the reactions, and it helps us know that we already love what we're doing, but it helps to know that others love what we're doing as well.
Right. So yeah, just please let us know. So we hope you guys have a great night, evening, whatever, and we'll see you guys all in the last episode of the season. Bye guys.
Bye-bye.